you know the secrets of making friends? They are so simple and easy. That looks easy enough. And Joey is going to try it out.
Now the summer's here, but just for a while. The night arrives, now I can smile. Just a little bit, speak up a little bit. It's past my bedtime, the season to go. Just a little bit, put out a little bit. When the birds and the insects put on a show. Give up a little bit. As the heat goes up, the cares go down.
Find good things in people.
As the fire gets hot all around the
Tell
town.
them the good things.
Summer's here to start, but it's not too
Smile
late
and talk to people. That's the first thing.
to feel the need to pollinate.
All day think
Hello, I am the Ronin Bod, and welcome to a twitch.tv/Ronin Bod live stream on Twitch.
people and
On twitch.tv/Ronin Bod.
going to be lonely this time.
When the morning comes and no one's around.
Welcome to the live stream, everybody. You may be noticing something new and different about me. I got a haircut, and Mage Lord Exobirth just gave me the DLC for New Mexico and American Truck Simulator. That's what's new today. Man, we really blew out the pipes yesterday. Welcome to the live stream. I just got this in the mail. I was not expecting. I mean, it's real. The beard is real. I just got this in the mail. I had no expectation of receiving a ginger beard in the mail. But nonetheless, there it was, and that's my life. Ever since it started to involve you all. Welcome to the live stream. I have to assume, since the person who tends to send me hair-based props is Mr. Rex Skates. I have to assume that came from Rex, but I have no idea, because it just shows up to my house. Here's a beard. It has your name on it. Welcome to the show. Major Lord Exobirth cheering 5. Hey, Pawn, nice beard. Kind of clashes with the hair, though. Yeah, I don't have a red, you know, my actual real hair. I don't have any of that. Thank you, Mage Lord Exobirth, so much for donating me in particular, donating us the New Mexico DLC for American Truck Simulator, which is the game we're playing today. I have downloaded and installed it, which, you know, just kind of happens. Okay, the game's, music? Thank you. Welcome to American Truck Simulator. Would go better with pink, says Mage Lord Exobirth. I considered, the pink wig today, but, my intention for today's Zendnesday live stream is to take the piss out of God. And it felt, you know, didn't seem right to be wearing a pink wig at the, same time. To avoid some save game compatibility problems due to changing, because that's the biggest thing, that's going to be the most, you know, offensive thing would be if I were wearing a pink wig while taking the piss out of God. To avoid compatibility, we put your truck back in a place, possibly, so that, because you just installed the New Mexico DLC, we now have 4, or is it 5 states now that we can go to. Check out my world map. Can we take the piss out of Noah instead? Well, I don't want to say this out loud, but, you know, I'm a Buddhist, so God, Noah, same difference, you know. We're all, we'll get to it. Look, California, and then the other one, and then that place there, and New Mexico! We have it now! We can go to Santa Fe, or Albuquerque, or Santa Fe, or Albuquerque, or Santa Fe. There are only 2 towns in New Mexico that anybody gives a crap about. Well, there's also Roswell, so there's 3. Seriously, the other places, I have looked at this area of the United States in terms of, wouldn't it be nice to move somewhere south and west where the weather is warm and dry and that sort of a thing? And, you know, in theory it is, but where do you go? Tucson, Flagstaff, there's like 2 cities per state in this region of the country that have anything going on. Although I guess that's all of them. Albuquerque says it's a secret to everybody. Indonesian. Albuquerque. Yes, we'll be heading to... Should we head to Albuquerque? If I can... Alright, jeez, I didn't know we were getting into it so quickly today. Listen, we gotta warm up to, you know, the Zen or whatever. And take the piss out of Hologram 1 and Noah and God and all those people. To the job market, then. Where have they left me? Is my question. I'm in Reno. I don't think I was in Reno before, but they put me back in Reno. That's fine. Do you have any holes from Reno to, you know... Jersey? Because this is gonna be a long haul. What's the longest haul you've got for me right now? Anything that actually puts me into New Mexico? Yes! We can go to Boca Raton. Or rather, just Raton. It's Raton. You can't even see it. It's over there. You ruined my joke, chat window, you bastard. Raton, New Mexico. We could go to Alamogordo. Or we could go to Tucumcari. Tucumcari? Jesus, what the hell is wrong with you? Look at these dollar figures, though. 64,000. I mean, it is a long-ass haul, isn't it? It's a bit of a long asshole. I don't know if I want to do all that haul in one. Could you... How about, like, several small ones that move me in the direction I want to go? Nope. Nope, not at all. Alright, everybody. We're taking machine parts to Tutankhamun, New Mexico. Dos ejaculate car ease. I don't know. Cheer 5, can we take the piss out of Zendnesday and these weird-ass Indian town names, is a guy called? Well, I already covered the second one. You cover the first one, and we'll lock it up. Set that as my GPS destination. What am I actually hauling? I don't know. We'll figure it out when we get here. Oh, look, it's my shop! I haven't been back to my shop in ages. You may notice that my throat, my voice, rather, I mean, you might notice my throat, but not in this shirt. You may notice that my voice is, dry and labored. Is how I would call it. Boy, did we blow the pipes out last night. Me went out to a place and blew the pipes out last night. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, hi. I was about to make a quick left there. It's the middle of the bleeding night. Piss off. Clear the roads. I got places to be. Yeah, I went out to a local bar that I just discovered recently. Greg took me to a bar, Trixie's, and, Greg and I, well, slow down, that's the coppers. Hello, officer, I'm just abiding the law here. Alright, gun it! We went out and had a couple of drinks, and shot some pool and just hung out and that sort of thing. And then, you know, Greg was like, alright, I'm done for the night. And I was like, yeah, I'm not done for the night when I got on the road. So I decided to go over to a little place in Hamtramck called Trixie's and blow out the lines, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean there. Ah, jeez, we had a good time at the pub. Had a drink or two in it. Pawn, you're hauling. Yes, is it ass I'm hauling? I haven't picked anything up yet. Oh no, I accidentally turned the engine off. That ain't good. I'm just gonna have to go and everybody get the hell out of my way. That's the new plan. That's the new plan. Looks like a good plan. Seems to have actually worked out. Into Reno with us to pick up the ass that I'll be hauling today. I didn't realize that they even shipped donkeys in this game, but cool. I'm fine with that. Also, hall pass or no? I'm watching on low volume because Castle. Castle? Castle is a television show that you're watching? I know nothing about Castle. Let me make fun of it and be disparaging about you because you watch a show that I know nothing about. Castle? Come on, hologram, what? Does England actually have hall passes? Because I assumed it was just America thing, since it's a secret to every pony. We don't have, like, hall passes. Like, in England, do they give you hall passes just sort of to walk around? Is it that Soviet over there? I knew you guys were into, you know, socialism and whatnot, but Jesus, you need hall passes? Get out of my way! Yellow means go! I'm from Detroit. Ah. Says the socialist. Kind of depends from school to school, says why are there no names. My first secondary school had the... Okay, now that's... The sentence doesn't make any sense. Your first secondary? Come on! Is my vehicle okay? Yeah, I'm not significantly damaged. Screw it. No repairs. How are we doing on gas? We're good. It looks like I'm well rested. I'm ready to pick this stuff up. And where am I? Oh, that's right. I'm in Reno. Oh my god, let's go to the casino and get some whores. Let's blow out the pipes, you know? Yeah, I had, you know, a little bit to drink. I had a little bit to drink, but most importantly, I didn't have anything to eat when I started drinking. So that's, you know, that's how you get your dollar value out of the liquor that you buy, is, you just do it on an empty stomach. You get much more for your dollar. Much more for less investment is what I find. Yeah, I went over to this, little bar, that's like a quarter of a mile away from here, called Trixie's. The second time that I've ever been there, and wouldn't you know it, what do I walk into? What are they doing on a Tuesday night at Trixie's? Open mic comedy. Open mic comedy! I killed, I slayed, I didn't go on at all. But I walked in the middle of their, you know, they were kind of like the last 5 or 6 sets, and, it was great because, you know, hanging out with a bunch of comics, or wannabe comics. I don't care. They're people who have similar interests to me. Never gotten to hang out with, like, people who you could just inherently do skits with, you know, just off the cuff. We haven't talked about anything, but, you know, I'll throw a joke your way and you'll send it back to me, and we'll... It was lovely. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the 4 live streams a week anymore, everybody. I'm going to be doing the Trixie's open mic night from now on, so... I'm going to be going to it. Anyway. I don't know what I'll be, you know... Eventually, I do hope to participate. I haven't actually done any, you know, on-stage stand-up. And I would love to write some material and do a proper set. So I'm gonna do it. I thought you lived in an endless, lifeless suburb, Pawn, says a guy called... Are you kidding me? Live in Detroit. Endless, lifeless. The only reason it's lifeless around here is because everybody keeps shooting. It's not a boring town. Except for the bullets that are boring into the back of your skull. Ta-dum. Should I use that at the open mic? Did that one not... It's not gonna land, is it? No, it didn't really land here. Shoot. Oh, boys. Ages 4 through 12, 12 to 16, 18, etc. What? What are you doing? Are you listing all the places in which you, have been arrested for inappropriate behavior? 8 classes in primary, 4 to 6 in secondary. Can't even remember how many times I've been arrested for being inappropriate to minors. You really need to stop walking into schools. What are you talking about? A guy called Pop. Shooting up or shooting downs. Oh, I was thinking about doing that. Well, I'm not paying attention to backing up at all, so please excuse the lack of physics in the game. When it comes to Hull and stuff. How am I gonna get out of here? You parked up pretty friggin' close to me. I can't go to the right. Can I go to the right? Can I? Yeah, it looks like I can. Okay. It looks like we actually can get out of here to the right. Just gotta swing her past. Yeah. Like that. A little wide, and then back, and then over to the other one, and then... Man, American Truck Simulator has so many cool models, and so... Look, CarZone! It's AutoZone is the name of the business, in the States. But CarZone, that's the logo. Similarly styled logo. This is a hell of a thing, American Truck Simulator. Now I've got the New Mexico DLC and the Heavy Cargo DLC, thanks to Mage Lord Axel Birth. How do I, and where am I going, and what's going on? I'm swinging a left. I hope that bus stops. Yeah, stop, bus. Stop it. I'm in charge. I'm big and heavy, and I'm on the road. Is that like car glass or something, says a guy called by? No. AutoZone. It's where you get your oil. I don't know what you're talking about. I could be completely off with that. Am I off with that? I could be off with that. I really blew the lines out last night anyway. I met a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of comics, and just, you know, hit on some people who said no, and that sort of thing. It was a great night. Oh, it was a good night. You know what else I've been up to? On Netflix, I watched all of, The IT Crowd. You guys familiar with that show? British comedy. Not the dry kind, the slapstick, like, irreverent, ridiculous, not quite Monty Python, but there's a smack of it in there, you know, that kind of thing. Lovely show. It's just lovely. I enjoyed it so much with the humor and the humor and whatnot. I actually enjoyed the fact that they didn't hit too hard on the whole, you know, IT department thing in the show either. Just you know, a loose premise for 3 very slapsticky character or comedic actors to do characters and be ridiculous. And Sheer 5, did you see the game last night? Says Secret Every Pony. What are you doing? Just talking about nothing in particular? We don't do that around here. You know what else I watched on Netflix recently? What game last night? You know what game I heard was on last night? Was the game where the mayor of Detroit, Mike Duggan, comes on television and gives the state of the city address. I hear that game went down. And actually, all I heard was, you know, from my dad telling me what he was seeing, and it sounds like they're actually focusing on, you know, they got a 3 to 4 year plan to clean up the area of town that I live in. Wouldn't that be nice? I'm doing my part, which is, you know, acting as the police, since the police don't do their goddamn jobs in the city. So that'd be nice, yeah, if the city of Detroit could come out here and maybe do something about the massive drug problem and violence and the, you know, empty houses and the burning houses and the... I'm worried for my ability to sell my house when I get there. Wow, I am going fast and nobody cares. 80 miles per hour. Pull a wheelie in the 18-wheeler. Pawn, it's a crowd meme, you fools, as a Seek to Every Pony. I don't know what you kids are on about with your maymays and all that, your hula hoops. Your spinner fidgets. I don't get it. You know, it's all a fad. It's over my head. It's under my torso most of the time. Am I gonna be able to make? Yeah, screw you. I'm faster. Good speed, Pawn, says a guy. Thank you. Sorry, I was supposed to say that ludicrous display last night. Oh, that's it. That's it. See that ludicrous display last night? The thing about so-and-so is they always try and walk it in. I don't... That's right. That's from the show I was... The IT crowd. Indeed. Indeed. Quite enjoyed the show. Pawn, we know how to solve this. You must become the Batman. Well, oh, for the Detroit? The city of Detroit? Half on my way. Yeah, I'm worried about my ability to sell my home in the long run. You know? There's only so many, like, drug houses you want to have on your block, and I'm starting to hit the limit. We're getting very close to the limit, you know? It's funny because it's true. I'm going to move over because it looks like I'll be going right here. What, closed? It's closed. Alright, so I do get off? Or do I just go straight? Well, apparently you get off, because... Oh, okay, well, you might want to slow down then. If we're transferring... No, there's no transfer? Alright, screw it. Make that good speed again. I'm already tired? Come on now. What do you mean, 55? All of a sudden, when the cops are on the other side of the road. Thanks. Just put the home up for sale... Oh, crap. There's red lights ahead. Put the home up for sale for twice what it's worth and sit on it for a few years. I can do that. I can, yeah, okay. Okay. Twice what it's worth, huh? Wow. All $10,000 you want me to list it for then, huh? According to the city of Detroit, the house that I bought for $2,500 is now worth, $6,400, I guess. That's what they tax, that's what my tax assessable value is. I need to swing a left if you don't... Thanks. Thanks, hon. I'm gonna swing a left here against the red. Oh, crap. I'll just pull into the intersection like we do in the States. Right into the middle of the intersection, and nobody can go until I get to. Alright. 6,400. I'm sure you meant 64,000, says Bearsuit Lane. No. The city of Detroit values my home, and I think it's $6,400. I paid $2,500 for it. 100, not 1,000. That is accurate. And I'm hoping to someday sell it for, thinking like 12. If I get 12,000 out of it, I'll be doing pretty good. pretty good, because that's about what I'll have probably put into it if I end up living here for the next year or two. It'll probably be 12 grand that I've put in. I need to have a nap at the motel before we carry on. That's why I came over here and off the GPS. You all know this, or you should. Damn it. And I'm just gonna... Oh. There we go. I'm gonna park her up here and have a nap. Turns out you can just ad block the stupid new bits leadership feature away, says a guy called... What's that? I don't want to know. Don't tell me. I don't want to know what the hell they're doing with this platform. If they're messing it up, don't mention it. Don't mention it to me. Pretty sure we'll have the housing bubble burst again in the near future because nothing was actually done to address the issues that caused the bubble that burst in 2008. I don't know. I think... We got enough problems, you know? Trump's in office. Do we really have to, like, think about all the other ones? Let's pretend like at least the housing market came back, and let's just tell ourselves that. I wish houses in the UK were that damn cheap. Cheapest house I've found is 120,000 lira. It's not lira, but... I mean, houses aren't supposed to be that cheap. It's a foreclosed property I got for $2,500. Right before I discovered... Ooh, look, they sell weed there! I know because it's green. If it's green... and a cross, and that means they sell weed there. I live in Detroit. I know these things. You can trust me. What was I saying? Yeah, houses aren't supposed to cost $2,500, but when someone's come through and looted the property of everything of value, from the electric box to the water heater to the furnace to the wires out of the walls of the attic, well then, you know, you can get yourself a deal. That deal was actually a hell of a deal because the roof on this place is like 5 years old, and it's a nice new dimensional shingled roof. It's such a nice roof. The roof and the windows sold me this place, because the roof itself is worth, I gotta assume, like $8,000 to $10,000 in and of itself if you had that work done. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about how much roofing costs, but I think you had that work done by a proper contractor. Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, $8,000. Let's see, I'd still put it up for $24,000, says Bearsuit Lane. Alright, well, you're my realtor. When it comes time, you run the Zillow end of things. A lot of land where I live with nothing on it costs twice that, says Bearsuit Lane. Yeah, there's... It was another thing that actually my dad and I were looking at on Zillow recently, that there are, out in the suburbs and by the lakes, there are patches of land that you can buy for, like, very cheap, just a couple of $1,000s. You can buy these patches of land. The interesting thing about these patches of land is that they are apparently completely inaccessible by any vehicle other than rowboat, or kayak even. Actually, when we were looking at it, there was like a drainage ditch part of the river, and that was pretty much how you'd have to access the piece of land. And doesn't that just sound awesome? I mean, I could set up my bat cave there and then, you know, fight crime in the city of Detroit, except for it'd be like an hour out of Detroit because it's out in the suburbs. It would be a good place for a bat cave. It does make your inner, you know, 9-year-old just kind of giddy to think about, you know, for a couple $1,000s, I could own a great big piece of land that's, like, tucked in between two lakes and a row of houses with no road that goes to it. And the only way to get back there is jumping your kayak, you know? Think of all the secret sexy parties you could have. Who's cheering? Cheer 100. Ronan Pawn's Island, says Jamaican. Island Pawn. You have to build a, like a modest, not a giant, but like a modestly sized, you know, not small, but modestly sized, flaming skull volcano style, you know, just modestly, just, you know, I don't want to be gaudy or anything, piss off the neighbors, but just, you know, a tasteful flaming skull. I could drive the pawnmobile out of it. Gotta have a ramp to get out. You can't just actually, like, drive out of it. It's gotta through the flaming teeth of the skull. Tastefully, though. Tastefully done. Flaming skull. But I'm talking about ruined houses that need to be rebuilt. This is why are there no names. Oh. Well, this one didn't... I mean, it needed some drywall work in the attic, and the bathroom is ugly as sin, and the wall in my bedroom is kind of falling apart because it's next to the shower, and the shower tile and the grout isn't so that the moisture gets through, and it's plaster walls from 1929, so it's kind of falling apart. It's a good house. It's a really good house for what I paid for it. I just wish, I wish I would have known who was moving in when the neighbors moved in across the street, and asked me if I had a square for them. And I said, nope. And he said, you know what I mean, right? And I said, yep. And the truth was, nope. I don't know what a square is, but I don't have one for you. Sure don't have one for you. Turned out he wanted a cigarette, is what he wanted. And then it turned out later that he was, you know, moving in to sell some heroin and coke. And so that's what I've got across the street now and have had for some time. So I'm a little bit worried about my ability to resell the house. And it makes me think about things, you know, the mayor gets up there and talks about the state of the city. It makes me think about, like, what you can't do about this problem. It makes me think about, like, the mayor himself could not put together a task force and announce, we're going to go after, you know, these known drug houses. Every time I put the cruise control on, it suddenly switches to 55 miles per hour. The mayor himself could not lead a war on drugs in this town because it'd just get him killed, you know? At least if I were running the drug trafficking thing and he did that, then I'd kill him, you know? I mean, it would be a good business move is what I'm saying. So I don't think he could even announce that he wants to go after the, you know? What the cops do with the drug houses that they know about is they come around every now and then, they flip them, they toss them, you know? They come out and they shake them up, shake them down, you know, arrest whoever's running the house that day and take their drugs, and then, you know, go home. And then the people who actually run the show send out some other, you know, idiot who's not actually making any money but who's taking all the risk on himself and, you know, could get shot or arrested or, you know, all that sort of stuff. They put some other moron who hasn't put two and two together and realized how badly he's being screwed into the house to sell the drugs, ship some more drugs over there, and right back in business. Same day that the police toss the houses around here. Very often, anyway, that's how it goes down. And I've seen it go down across the street. I saw the SWAT team come to the house one day, and I saw them, you know, do whatever they do, and then they left, and so, you know, things were still in operation. Nothing really changed. What the city of Detroit needs is a vigilante. They need the pawn. This city is the pawn that they deserve and not the pawn that they need, but they're going to get some pawn in their pawn. I really do think the city of Detroit needs, like, a vigilante, and, you know, that's some, like, neo-Nazi, kind of, you know, it's kind of the, conservative wet dream kind of thing, you know, the government can't take care of it, it's not doing anything, the people need to just get their guns and get out there and take back the streets, and if you think that you can do this in my America, you're sadly mistaken. Lock and load, broyo! You know, it's kind of that kind of thing, and I'm not really in that crowd, but at the same time, yeah, what Detroit needs now is vigilante justice. Needs someone to go around and just start burning these fucking drug dens. What Detroit needs now is someone with good technical ability to create and plant car bombs on the dealer's cars that you know, 'cause they're the expensive ones that come park in front of the drug den for just a couple of minutes every week. Like, knowing what I know because of where I live, like, I know way too much about... It's just weird to see them just doing it, you know? And you're on a street, it's a neighborhood, I'll tell you what else. At the end of my street, and I mean I can walk out on my porch and look and see it, at the end of my street, a couple hundred feet away, 300-400 feet down to the end of the street, is a church, behind which is a school. Is a church school, I believe, but it's a proper school. And I know of 2 drug houses you know, the one on my street and then the one on the other part of my street. I know of 2 drug houses that are... You know, one of them is, like, 15 feet from the school property. And then the one on my street is maybe 300-400 feet from the school property. And it's like, God, are you guys just stupid? Or is it really that Wild West out here that it don't matter? Because the way I understand the law is that if you're, you know, peddling drugs, if you're arrested for something relating to drugs within such and such distance from a school, then they automatically, like, double the penalties or the charges, or, you know, it's that much worse. So it's like, all you have to do is find one out of any of the thousands of blighted abandoned homes in Detroit where, you know, there isn't a school across the street from. Surely, it's just good business, you know? That's the thing, is that the drug industry would not be as scary, the drug traffic in the city would not be as scary as it is were it not for how stupidly they seem to run it, you know? Because it makes you worry that they don't even understand what their own vested interests are, and that just makes them dangerous, you know? It's that thing, somebody said it in chat, the idea of, you know, the most dangerous person that a master swordsman will ever fight is someone who has no idea how to wield a sword. You know, because they're so... Jesus, God, go! There's nobody coming, we're in the middle of the friggin' desert. Because you have no idea what they're gonna do. Because they don't know how to wield a sword, and they don't know what they're doing with a sword, and suddenly they got a sword in their hands, they're in a sword fight, and, you know, all of your very reasonable training that you've done against other people who know how to wield a sword suddenly means nothing, because this person's all over the place. You know? A dangerous situation to be in, and I feel like that's where we are with... Are you kidding me? Are you... Go! For Pete's sake, it's 70 here. Between the two of you, I'm just staying in... Oh, no. Oh, no. No, 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 no. Okay, no, I'm moving over. I'm moving over. There, I'm in my lane again. This is just awful. Is this what it's really like being in New Mexico? Are we in New Mexico yet? Actually, is there a map? Yeah, we're not. We're nowhere near New Mexico. We're several states away from New Mexico, Paul. Well, these damn Nevadans or whatever. Is this how you guys drive? You suck. In the middle of the desert, you're supposed to be gunning it. I have the technical ability, pawns, is why are there no names, to make the car bombs and whatnot. Jeez, God. Best way to deal with drug problems, legalize, regulate, and actually enforce the damn regulations, this Major Lord Exilbert. I don't know about that with heroin and coke. I'm good for, like, legalizing, you know, weed. Even mushrooms. Nah, nobody wants to do. Zorbaltus just subscribed. Thank you, Zorbaltus. Hello to you as well. Thank you for the subscription. Have some Ronin pawns along with some cocaine and some heroin. Thank you for the subscription. Your cocaine heroin package will be mailed tomorrow. Tier 5, by the time this game's USA is done, it'll probably be bigger than the actual real-life country I live in, says a guy called by. Well, by the time they're done actually making all of the states an American Truck Simulator, because with this level of detail, it's going to take a minute, there probably will be less states left, you know. Some of them will have sunk into the rising ocean. Some of them will have seceded. At least a couple of them will have been, you know, irradiated to the point where we just give up the land, you know. I know where this is going. I know what you're doing, I've seen it all too clear, but I only taste the saline when I kiss away your tears. You really had me going! Wishing on a star, the black hole that surrounds you is heavier by far. What? Let's blow the buggers up. Yeah, I don't know what you do about, you know, like, I don't know what I can do about, like, I want to be able to sell my house one day, and, you know, do I just go up to the drug house, knock on the door, and say, hey, I'm gonna list my house on the market. Do you guys mind, like, taking it down the road? You know, you had a good run here. Can you do that? Do drug dealers have, like, do they need, if I brought them a cup of sugar or something for baking, do drug dealers bake? I know they've got white powder, surely. Tier 5, they can make it a retro-themed period game by then. Like we'd have 70s themed road adventures now or something. Like, you got a long way to go, not a long time to get there. Dee 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 dee, that kind of thing, you know. We can do multiplayer American Truck Simulator, and one of you will be Smokey and the other will be the Bandit. Is that the idea? Because I like that. If that's not the idea, that needs to be the idea. Somebody contact Games. I can't remember. I never remember their name. Just contact them and let them know we need a Smokey and the Bandit mode. Need to be able to drive a black Corvette. Is that what he had? I don't know what he had. Some nice old school 2010s themed gaming. I love it. Yeah, old school 2010s. Those raging 10s. Bring them a cup of sugar to cut their cocaine. Yeah, I don't know. What do you do? You know, like, what can I do? That's what it dawned on me, like, Mayor can't do anything. He's in the same situation I am. I can't, like, call the police and say, hey, I can give you the location to, like, 3 or 4 different drug houses. You know, I'm sure they'd take them, but first off, they already know where they are. And second, like, now my name's on a list somewhere that, you know, I'm somebody who plays both sides, who makes a little bit of money on the side, you know, being a cop and also answering the calls of drug gangs and things, you know, drug lords. You know, now they can say, by the way, who is it that reported us? And then I'm a target. You know, same reason why Mayor Mike Duggan, or whatever his name is, couldn't even... Probably shouldn't come on the State of the City address, you know, and I'm pretty sure didn't, and say, I'm starting a new anti-drug task force that's going to da-da-da-da-da-da, because then he's got a bullseye on his forehead. So what do? What do the people of Detroit do? We read Dramatian's cheers. It was a Firebird pawn. Oh, I'm sorry, I got called back. Dramatian cheering 50, go around with a suit and a Bible to preach to them to get them some religion. I don't know if I'm the best guy for that. My plan today was to take the piss out of God, you know? Not sure if that's quite right. Oh, it's 40 now. Okay. Yeah, just slow her down. Slow her down, ease her back. Ooh, trailer park. Trailer park, this is where I grew up. This is where I grew up. I grew up in a lot of trailer parks. That's nicer ones. Oh, those were double wides. Did you see them? Those were some double wide trailers. I knew a girl who had a double wide, man. That was swank. It's real nice. They had to bring it in on 2 trucks. Burn them, explode them, take them down. Yeah, that's kind of where everybody seems to be on the issue in the city of Detroit, including the police department. As I've mentioned before, they will quietly take you aside and say, if you really want to get rid of them, burn the fucker down. And it's just like, that's not a... I mean, it's a solution. It moves them. It moves them. And then I could sell my house, I guess. Somebody else's house is going to depreciate in value pretty quickly. But, you know... I mean, here's the thing. You're not going to, like, get drugs off the street. You're not going to get heroin off the street and coke off the street, because it's a product. There's a demand for it, you know? So somebody's going to be selling it. I just... You know, I guess I am kind of in that. It makes sense to me to just legalize and regulate, because, God, at least, you know, because like I say, it's a product. It's not going anywhere. It ain't going anywhere. Good for you, bad for you, whatever you think. It ain't going nowhere. Thank you for slamming on your brakes. I am overtaking. Is that an officer? It is? Aha! I was doing the speed limit, and I made the officer stop for me. That's got to be a shit yourself moment, huh? Driving down the road and just see a 18-wheeler big rig coming in your lane. Ah! You're gonna get it off the street if you regulate it. Read the book Narconomics, says Pondophile. I guess that makes a bit of sense, cause yeah, if you legalize and regulate, just sounds so wrong to legalize heroin, but okay. It really is the only solution in this city that I can think of where you actually, you know, get it off the street, and then maybe it's not turning into, you know, drug wars and gun battles and people burning down houses in the middle of the night. I guess that that makes a certain bit of sense, because at this point, you know, all I could think is if I wanted to try and do something, I can't call the police. The police are in bed. You know, I don't believe for a second that the hands of the 11th Precinct, I know from experience that the hands of the 11th Precinct Detroit Police Department are not the cleanest hands you've ever met. So I don't expect for a second that, you know, all you need is one dude on the payroll, you know, and if I'm running a illegal anything, you know, drug-related or not, and I've got the kind of money that drugs would get you, well, then I'm going to have an officer on the payroll. So, yeah, like, I can't call the police. The best thing that I can think of is, in terms of, like, people to call, is literally the fucking FBI or something, you know? The DEA. But not like a local, I mean, you know, you're calling the FBI the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or the DEA, the Federal DEA kind of thing. You got to get like an organization that's not, you know, it's easy to hire a cop from your local city. It's a little bit different trying to get a federale on the inside feeding you information as a middling sort of drug dealer, drug lord in the city of Detroit. But that's a ridiculous premise in and of itself, to try and get, you know, how are you going to get a federal agency to take interest in your little drug problem, and then you can't call the police, because, as I've mentioned, pretty sure the police are in on it. So, what do? Apparently, you legalize and regulate heroin. Jesus, God. You've seen what heroin is and what that's about? Jesus, God. I don't know. Are there places where heroin is legal? Where, you know, you can get... I suppose if you legalize and you can't regulate and keep people from ODing or something. It's just, it sounds so... I guess it's the better of all the situations that you're regulating it and you're selling it directly and you get gun violence and gang violence out of the mix, but God... You know, to be responsible for retailing heroin to people, knowing that they're gonna OD, and even when they don't OD, they're going to, you know, ruin their fucking lives, because once you get that stuff in your veins, it's really hard to give a shit about anything other than getting more of it into your veins. DEA, ATF, IC, CIA, FBI, and the NSA. Yeah, I'll see if I can get the NSA interested. But yeah, that's what you know, that was the best idea that I've got. Can't call the city, can't ask the city for whoa, 80? The speed limit is 80? Well, not for trucks, apparently. Well, at least I can do 70. Hit the cruise control. Today I learned boondoggle is a real word. Is it? Yeah, that makes sense. I'd rather call another drug dealer to deal with a drug dealer problem than the cops, FBI, or DEA, says Mage Lord Exelberth. I wouldn't like to call... I'd like to have all drug dealers out of my... to just not have them involved in my life. That would be my preference. I just don't know what you do, you know, in this city or in just urban areas where you've got this kind of thing going on. I mean, maybe Detroit... Hopefully Detroit is a special case, because Detroit is so intensely blighted. But, if Detroit is a special case, then it's Detroit and Flint are special cases, but... such a blighted town. There's so many abandoned homes and foreclosed properties and properties that, you know, people weren't in them. Maybe you were renting or something and then people moved out of your rental property, and in the 2 weeks it took you to find somebody else to move in, people saw that there's nobody there and they came in and they looted and gutted the place, and then, you know, it costs too much to put it all back together, and you just take a loss and walk away from it. And just this city, man, we've got so many empty houses that all you gotta do is slide up into them and throw an open sign on the front door, you know. Put one of those neon, you know, drugs available here. Who cheered first? A guy called Pie. The Duterte of Detroit? Of Detroit? What's a Duterte? The Duterte of Detroit? I don't know what that reference is, Mr. Pie. Hold on, maybe you should become the next Duterte. I'm not a Duterte. You're a Duterte! Call me a Duterte on my own live stream. You're the Duterte! Tier 5 says Mage Lord Exelberth. You can have it done in a way that they can only take the heroin at the place selling it, making it significantly harder for them to OD, and guarantees that there'd be people on hand to take care of anyone who does manage to OD. Okay. Okay. God. Just, I don't know. No. It's definitely the better of situations. It just seems so cold. Doesn't it? Isn't something about it seem cold? Like, we shouldn't be encouraging anyone to use it, but if you're gonna use it, we'll sell it to you, and we'll try and help you keep from killing you. I don't know, it's... Maybe it's just that I, you know, grew up in puritanical America, but... it's just, I mean, heroin is like the granddaddy of all the drugs in my mind. It's the king. It's the, you know... just have a taste, and then you're there. You never come back from it. I mean, I'm sure there are some people who try it once and go, that was interesting, and manage to never do it again, but I can't think of anything harder than heroin, and legalization, as many issues as that would solve. And it would. It absolutely would. It's still something just on a kind of amorphous moral scale. It feels dirty to me. But, you know, I'm not disagreeing that it makes sense, or that it would solve a lot of problems. Pawn, if you want to make some stuff, or blow shit up, I may know a guy somewhere. A good way to reduce the problems, says Snowman Olaf, would be to actually implement stricter rules on the use of opioids in medical application. That's what gets a lot of people hooked on heroin, because it's cheaper. Reducing opioids and implement marijuana where applicable would be a nice way. Yeah, that would... It's a very complicated subject, isn't it? Because, yeah, my mother, you know, she has a chronic condition that she's never going to not have. Might have inherited a bit of it over here from me, but she's never going to not have. And, you know, she's taking something that's opioid, you know, it's an opioid, for her pain. And, she's actually, like, massively reduced, on her own. You know, she told her doctor, I'm going to reduce my, you know, dosage and that kind of stuff over the years. And that is one of the big gateways, you know, as much as they like to talk about, you know, marijuana is a gateway drug. Yeah, fuck you. The statistics are in. Marijuana is not a gateway to anything. The broadest majority of people who take marijuana never even do marijuana again, let alone anything else, and that's a statistical fact. But yeah, prescription opioids are definitely a gateway, because they're very expensive, and they do the job, and then, you know, you can literally... That's what blows my mind, is, like, heroin being the granddaddy of the drugs. You know, the highest, in my head anyway, the highest of all of them. And yet, you can go and get, one something of heroin, I don't know what, I'm not hip enough to know the terms. You can get one hit for $5 of heroin, and that's what blows my mind. $5 for heroin? Doesn't weed cost more? Like, you can't get enough weed to enjoy yourself for $5, but heroin for $5 you can get one. God, I mean, these things I know from hanging out with, from the time that I spent with Whitney. And I never knew that it was that cheap. I never understood. But yeah, heroin, one whatever little thing, you crush it and then you boil it and all that. One thing, $5? God, this is wrong, man. One heroin, please. This is the secret to everything. Stop talking about blowing things up. I would love to, but I have nothing to blow up. He needs a release for his explosions. Pawn, you feel about heroin the same way I feel about eating insects or inventing extra genders, says a guy called Pie. Inventing extra genders? Are people having penises attached to their elbows? What the hell are you talking about? Primary function of the places could be to wean people off of the hard stuff. Two, actually, says Major Lord Exobirth. For the legalization and the, regulation and... Yeah, I mean, one of you said in chat, told me that, San Francisco is, I think it's San Francisco, implementing a, safe injection spaces policy, so that the city is going to have certain places where, you know, you will not be arrested for shooting up. And I think that sounds like a good idea, having seen, you know, how difficult the life is and how quickly you get driven into dark places when you get, you know, using and addicted, and when you start using these drugs and you're on the street and all that kind of stuff. It's like the fact that society wants you to go into a corner away from them and do it means it drives people further to the edges, you know? And eventually they come back from the edges, you know? People go live on the edge, and a lot of things that are definitely not okay, a lot of things that are definitely not anything that anybody wants in their backyard become normal to them, and then, you know, they come to CVS to get some soda pop or something like that. So I definitely, yeah, I like that idea. Like I say, it makes perfect sense on paper. It's just something feels wrong about legalized heroin. I mean, you'll never get it through in the States in this puritanical thing anyway, this puritanical society. You can't even get marijuana legalized. You know, it's kind of state to state for medicinal use, let alone recreational. So that ain't gonna happen anytime over here, but just the premise of it kind of, it don't sit right with me. It don't, I can't swallow it. Hello, Jenno. Hi, Jen. Thanks for the follow. Why is it that your name's Genovden? Genovden. How's that? That sounds cool. Genovden. Shoot. I called myself the Ronin pawn. I could have been Genovden all this time. Of course, some drugs should never be legal, like crocodile. Seriously, that's not a drug, that's a suicide medication. Is that a... I haven't heard of that. Fentanyl is a bit more expensive than heroin, says Snowman Olaf. Jesus. What world do we live in? What days are these that see us so with rubber hoses tied round our elbows? Veins popping. Well, no, you tie it kind of... Well, it depends on where you're shooting, I suppose. What days are these that see us talking of such things? Speaking of such ills and evils? I mean, hey, I like to drink, and I smoke a little weed and that kind of thing. I'm not trying to get down on anybody's good time. But that time is a little bit too good for anybody. I've seen it. Seen what it do. I've seen, you know, somebody... I've watched people do heroin, and they're not fun to be around, you know? They're completely, it's like the people become this weird moving furniture. Like, I don't know where they go to, but it ain't here, you know? Just kind of like balancing on one foot and starting to this constantly, and then popping back up, and I don't know where they go to, but it isn't on this plane of existence. And, you know, if you're gonna go that deep into yourself, try something psychedelic, I would think. You know, try something... Go to another place. Don't just be here, like, completely inside your own body. For me, it's disgusting, because, I mean, it has a little bit to do with my experience in Zen, you know? When I was younger, I was a very narrow kind of a person. My mind was very focused on whatever I thought was important to me, in front of me, you know? Sit in a room and all I can really see is what I'm looking directly at, you know? I didn't use my peripheral vision. I wasn't aware of your emotions. What do those matter for? You know, it's just a lot that I was missing. Like, the vastness of life that I was missing, and I just didn't know that there was another way of being. And then I found Zen, and, you know, I learned that there's so much more life going on, and so much more fun to be had, and so much that I was missing. And also why, you know, people didn't like to be around me, which they still don't, but it's for entirely different reasons now. I understood, you know, why other people couldn't understand why I didn't understand. That kind of thing. I met Zen, and it opened my peripheral vision, and, you know, I realized that I am the smallest part of me, that you as part of me are a far more interesting part of me, and that everything that's going on and everything in the room, and not just what I'm focused on right now, not just what I think is for me. Damn it. I gotta stop and get inspected. My world opened up thanks to Zen, and then, you know, I saw someone, you know, I watched someone injected heroin, and what I saw was, you know, just like a person who's basically intentionally gouging out their own eyes in terms of their awareness of anyone else or anything else. And you want to talk about horse blinders, you know, there's nothing but you in the throes of heroin, is how it looked to me from where I was sitting. And so, you know, that's disgusting. Is the only word that I have for it. Is that it's disgusting to watch what people, you know, are apparently enjoying and having fun with. You know, last time that I smoked marijuana, I was out recreationally, which is the only way I've ever smoked marijuana. You know, the last time I ever got high on weed, you know, I was out at a bar, had a little weed, went back inside, and it was amazing because, you know, it was time slowed. I was able to, like, catch all of the little things that, you know, you miss because there's too many loud noises and things to draw your attention and all that, and marijuana just slowed me down to where I could see everything. I could watch the whole room at once in perfect 20/20, you know, crystal clarity, at the peripheral vision and straight into the middle, and, like, marijuana opened my perspective when I was, you know, the last time I happened to use it. That was the experience that I had. And to just see somebody enjoying being in the throes of something that, like, is, as far as I can tell, the purpose of heroin is just to, like, close your eyes and close your ears and retreat into yourself and your own body, and it's just disgusting to watch. Claypock the Sniper is now following. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the live stream. We're just about to have a live stream break, which is why I figured I'd stop at the way station and you know, fumble my way toward a segue transition where we go to a live stream break. I don't recall marijuana ever doing that for me, says a guy called Pie. Well, you need more time on the meditation, man. Yeah, that was my, you know, I've had that experience a number of times on marijuana where, the passage of time seems to slow. And I actually find, you know, I get to, like, notice so much more. I get to, like, see a lot of things that are happening, that I don't usually get to see. See, like, you know, micro expressions on people's faces, and notice who's flirting with one another before they're really flirting with one another, you know? You can pick out who likes who before they start doing anything based on the, like, sudden eye movements that probably they aren't even aware of and stuff like that. That's happened to me a number of times. One of the problems that I've had with marijuana that I'm sure I've mentioned before on these live streams, I know I have, is when I have that time-slowing experience from weed, is that it's really hard for me to have a conversation because the conversation takes so fucking long because time is slow. My perception of time has slowed anyway. So from the moment that you start saying a sentence, I'll know where you're going with it, you know, within the first couple of words. Usually we do. But I'll know where you're going with that. But the sense that time is so slow, it's like, in your first 3 or 4 words, I know more or less what you're saying. But now I have to sit here for this incredibly long, distended period of perceptive time, waiting for you to finish. And so it's like, I can't pay attention. By the time somebody gets done saying what they're saying, I've forgotten what the hell it was about, because it just took so damn long. And there's so many other things that are going on that I can see in my peripheral vision that are more interesting than listening to you finish the sentence that I knew what it was going to be when you started it on the 3rd word. Pawn, says a guy called Pie, shooting 5. What? What did you... Usually Pie shouts pawn at me. When he said something that I didn't read. Does Twitch allow you to smoke weed on stream? Asked a guy called Pie. Smoke weed every day. I mean, I suppose I don't know. Actually, I don't know what their policy is on that. Probably they'd be against it, but the problem would be, how do you know what I'm smoking? You know? Even if I say it's weed, still, you know, it's a show, right? You know? People drink alcohol on television all the time that's actually apple juice, but they tell you it's alcohol, and they pretend like they're getting drunk. I don't know. How does that work? I was afraid they'd be so stuck up as to ban it. That's a stream I would watch as a Seek Terror Bonnie. It wouldn't be a good live stream because time would be so slow for me. I don't know. As I understand it, you can't glorify smoking while doing so, but you can smoke out of a water pipe on streams. Really? I have nothing to do with any of this, thanks. I'll have nothing to do with any of this, thanks, says Hologram 1. I'd rather we deal with Zen and not drugs now. All this makes me uncomfortable. Surely there are drug themes on Castle, Leitra. The leader and deputy leader of far-right group Britain First have been found guilty of religiously aggravated harassment, says Germasian, and posts a link to the BBC article. Well, I'll tell you what. When we come back from the live stream break, we will see if there's any Zen to be squeezed out of this day, or see if there's just... I kind of had in my mind the idea of taking the piss out of God, kind of like a release for you guys for sitting around listening to my Zen stuff, you know, my spiritually, you know, some of it that sounds kind of woo to you and that sort of stuff. And I thought we might have some fun just breaking down the nature of God and what people think and what people believe that doesn't make any goddamn sense. I was thought we'd start there and then, you know, we'd get somewhere far more interesting. That I know where we're going because I just had some weed earlier, so I saw the future. Anything smoke-related is not stuff I like, says Hologram 1. Not into the weeds, are you? Well, then when we come back, we'll carry on about the heroin. That'll be better. We'll be back in about 7 minutes with this live stream break for more American Truck Simulator and possibly the actual proper beginning of the Zen part of the Zendnesday. While I'm away, have a listen to Still Pluto with My Own God. 7 minutes, don't go anywhere. Pawn not actually out. That's the wrong thing. That's the right one.
Told me I'm a sinner. I have no money to prove my beliefs. I'm sure I have nothing to give them.
I'm the Ronan Pawn, and welcome back to a twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn live stream on twitch.tv/The Hair Is Real. No, twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn is where we do these things, that's right. Welcome back to American Truck Simulator and a Wednesday Zendnesday in which we've talked primarily about heroin and a little bit marijuana. And someone made a comment before I left, mirroring my experience with using pot recreationally, which is the distortion of time, and somebody starts talking and you know what they're going to say, and then you just get distracted because there's so much more interesting than what I already know you're going to say by the time you finish it. Bump it. I know that, yes, it's nice to hear that other people know the experience I'm talking about. But we're not going to talk about drugs. Alright, we're going to talk a little bit more about drugs, and then the Zen, though. Because it occurs to me, like, I think my main problem with the pitch that was, I was saying, like, what the hell do you do about heroin? You know? And I think the pitch to legalize it and then heavily regulate it. You know, I think my problem with it is just the word legalize. When I get right down to it, when I think about it in my own head, the word legalize makes it sound as though, you know, it's promotional, it's encouraging, it's like, yeah, it's free for everybody, who wants to try some heroin, it's legal now. Whereas the simple use of the word decriminalize makes it sound a lot better to me, because it focuses the conversation on what you'd actually be trying to do with, if you were decriminalizing heroin and then heavily regulating it. It would be, you know, acknowledging that there's a problem here that can't be fixed by throwing people in prison. It hasn't worked. It's not going to start working all of a sudden. We're going to wake up tomorrow and go, oh, hey, the thing that hasn't worked all this time has suddenly started. You know, that's not going to happen. Decriminalizing and then heavily regulating, and then, you know, making it easier, focusing on people who are using it. Now they can get it without having to be driven to the corners and the dark alleys and that sort of things of society. But also, when they come to get it, you know, you can have resources available for them to, you know, get off of it. And just make it, you know, something that's a bit more doable to stop using this massively chemically addictive substance. Because really, when you think about it, heroin is only a recreational drug like the first time or two that you use it. And I don't know from experience. I'm talking on my ass. I don't, you know, I never done it myself. I stopped just a little bit. Damn it. It's only recreational the first time or two that you use it, and then it's medicinal. At that point, it's clinical, because now your body, you know, it's immediately addictive, and your body demands it. Or else you go into convulsions and fits and things like that. And so it pretty quickly turns into a medical thing and not a recreational thing anymore. I should have just run it after they'd given me the ticket. Why the hell am I sitting here? Because you're an idiot. Talking about heroin and weed on your lives. Well, it's a problem in my neighborhood. Not the weed so much as the heroin. The Dutch government tolerates some offenses. Some things, like possessing small amounts of cannabis, are formally forbidden by law, but the Dutch government abstains from bringing criminal charges against the offenders, says a guy called Pi, quoting something. And then the basis for the Gedoog policy is the consideration of interests in which the interest of law enforcement needs to yield to an identifiably greater cause. It is a positive decision not to pursue and prosecute regardless of available law enforcement capacity. That's, that's where you have to be with that. I guess that's what I'm saying with heroin. I think my only problem is the word legalize, you know. Decriminalize sounds right. Stop just, you know, throwing users in jail is not helping. Because, you know, best case scenario, they are forced to get clean while they're in jail, and then they come out and their life is still a mess and in ruin, and, you know, they don't have a job, and they probably don't have a place to stay, or, you know, so it's best case scenario. You know, they don't use while they're in jail, although you can get this kind of stuff nowadays in prisons and whatnot. it makes its way in. So it's not really helping anything to just throw people in. It's making it harder for them to not be on it. They're going to get out, and their life's going to be a mess and in ruin. And, gee, you know, it would make it all seem less heavy of a burden to carry. How about a little more heroin? So that doesn't work for users. And then for the people selling it, prosecuting them to the fullest extent and throwing them in jail and that kind of stuff, that doesn't actually accomplish anything. I mean, do they deserve to be prosecuted? Absolutely, but it's not winning any war on drugs to do so, because the people who you're arresting 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, 9,900, the people who you're arresting are the street boys. They're the house boys. They're the people who are actually making the money and who have actually turned this into a successful business are taking advantage of, manipulating, using, you know, giving them some products to keep them on the payroll. The people you're taking off the streets are easily replaced and are replaced, and in Detroit, the houses that you flip are back open in less than 24 hours doing exactly what they were doing before you flipped them. So that ain't working either. So yeah, I think I would support a decriminalize all of these drugs, because if you're going to decriminalize heroin, then you might as well decriminalize everything. I don't know, maybe I haven't thought about that much yet, but heroin is the granddaddy. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be... Nothing that we're doing actually helps, and it's a product that people are always going to want. There's demand for it, and that means people are going to always be selling it, people are always going to be getting it and using it. Trying to shove it to one side of the table and pretend it's not happening is not helping anyone. So yeah, decriminalize heroin. Hashtag, I guess. I don't know. It feels wrong to say it, but it does make the most sense. It helps to prevent more people getting drugs, I think, says Gnobden. Yeah, heavily regulating it and making it, you know, you can get it, but you gotta come here, and it's not exactly a, you know, it's not a place where you know where you're going, and everybody else knows where you're going, and everybody knows what you're doing when you're walking in, and yeah, the people who will be coming to get it are the people who are already using it, and I don't know. I mean, the other end of that argument would be, well, if we start, like, selling it, you know, if we decriminalized it and it was sold in that way, I guess the Mage Lord Exelbruth addressed this, but you know, what they'd say is, what, so now we're going to be the ones putting the drugs on the street, because you know that if we're selling it, people are going to buy it and then put it on the street. And Mage Lord Exelbruth was saying, you know, regulate it in such a way as when you buy it, you have to use it. You have to use it in a supervised area and that kind of stuff. And in that being the case, there would be the issue of, well, then there's still going to be a lot of traffic on the streets, isn't there? Because people aren't going to want to have to do that. People are going to want to do it in the privacy of their own homes and whatnot. I'm going to get off, I'm going to grab some gas from this place. But that said, it would take a chunk out of it. It would absolutely take a chunk out of it, and there would be a lot of people who, when they go to try and get off drugs, when they're trying to put their lives together, they'd know that they could get the drugs, that it wouldn't be illegal for them to use the drugs that they still kind of need, that they can wean themselves off in a place that's safe, and they don't have to be involved in the seedy shit that they're trying to get out of. So it's a net positive. In every sense that I can think of so far, it would be a net positive to decriminalize. But it does. It's such a dirty world. Why has it got to be such a dirty world, people? Guys, tell me. Why has it got to be such a dirty world? Well, you know, Pawn. You've told us, Pawn. Because this is exactly the way that we want it. Indeed. Indeed. Can we move to Zen talk now? Alright. Let's talk about how God's a prick. My idea for today's Zen talk was to take the piss out of God. Was really just, how do I get in there? Can I get in from here? It looks like I can. I'd have to jump a curb, but I'm not against it. I'm not above it. Can I get into this parking lot from this side? Or did I have to go all the way around? Because guess who doesn't care? And who's not going to go all the way around? Tier 5, because people are dumb pawns, says Mage Lord Exelbruth. Oh, is that why? Is that why it's such a dirty, dirty world? It's a dirty, dirty world because we want a dirty, dirty world. There are other ways in which I want a dirty, dirty world. And so we have to tolerate the other parts that we don't like, because I'm not going to live here if I can't, you know. Well, I'm not going to tell you what I do in my off time. I don't want to scare anybody. Do that. Actual Zen talk is a bunch of shit, says a guy called Pi. Yeah. I kind of like that you've come out as a complainer. I kind of like it. It feels like a put on personality now, like you're playing with us, and I kind of enjoy it. I don't. I hope nobody else is gets aggravated when Pi, you know, bitches and whines and moans. It's kind of cute, isn't it? Kind of cute. I like the way he does it. Pi chills is why they're no names. You just gotta put it in the right context. It's cute. It's cute. Alright, so the nature of God. Shall we talk about the nature of God? What is the nature of God? What is the nature of God according to the religion that I'm most familiar with? I was gonna say, isn't that Buddhism porn? And then I'm going, no, actually, I think I'm more familiar with Christianity, even though I am a Buddhist. I got more years in as, you know, more years of exposure, at the very least, to Christianity. Christianity, what's the nature of God in Christianity? Well, it's a creator God, isn't it? It's a creator God. It's Samantha from Bewitched. In the beginning, there was nothing except for God, who always was and always will be. And God magicked up everything that we know in the universe from nothing. Right? Isn't that what you get? I mean, Christianity might... There are certainly... There's so many pockets and veins and different types of Christianity, and the same is true of all religions, all spiritualities, all belief systems, and even in the sciences, you know? You always find people who will say, no, that's not what we mean, and then you'll find somebody else going, yeah, that's what I mean. No, that's not what I mean. I mean that. I mean what he said. You'll have that in anything. But one of the seemingly popular ideas of the nature of God is that, you know, it's a creator God, always was, always will be, who created the universe, the heavens and the earth, separated the firmament from the bullshit, and made everything out of pixie dust and unicorn horns and that sort of a thing. Who's cheering? Who's cheering? Tier 5, here's a picture of my religion. Please respect it. I can't click on that picture, Pony. I can't click on it, but everyone else will, and then they can respect it. Does it involve a spaghetti monster? Is there a kraken in there somewhere? So the nature of some versions, anyway, of a Christian God is this creator God who makes everything from nothing, and then wants something from his creations, apparently. It's very weird. I'm going to be taking the piss out of Christian God today, because it's a very weird concept that there's this God who is bigger and better, and, you know, presumably God has his shit together, right? So he's better than us, way better than human beings, and he goes out of his way to make human beings and to make the planet, and according to the most popular form of Christianity, also God made the planet and all of the things that we know, and all of the animals and everything, for us, for our usage. It's all here for us. That makes us feel better about slaughtering all of the little animals of the plains, even though, you know, by our religion they are God's creations just as we are. No, but he created them just so that they could be your food. Oh, thank goodness, because otherwise I would have felt guilty about slaughtering God's creation, and, well, I destroyed the planet that he put us here. But no, the planet was here, it was put here for you, along with all of the things that you might want. It's all here for you. Take it as you please. Except for the things that God said don't take. Those he put here to test you. There are some things that he put here just so that you could use and abuse them as you saw fit. Grind the little chickens into patties and deep fry them because they're delicious. But wait, there's all these other things that God put here that he doesn't want you to touch or do anything with. Oh, okay. Tier 5 Pun, God is a big sassy black woman who don't need no man. She's a lesbian too, says the guy called by. Nature of the Christian God is the creator who creates everything out of nothing and creates man in his image, his, by the way, so he's not a lesbian. I'm now passing the cop. I wonder if this is going to work out well. Creates us in his image. And you know, that's really the only way that it works, doesn't it? Because the nature of the Christian God is pretty needy. It's a humanish God, isn't it? You know, that was my big problem with the Christian God, was, at least the way that they like to tell it, is that God's demand for others to love him, us, his creatures, his want, his desire, you know, even if it's not a demand, you know, he gives us all the option. We can love him or not, but what he wants is he wants us to love him. It'll be better for us if we do love him. Well, that means God has desire, right? Like, I've wanted someone to love me who didn't. And you know, I wasn't a very strong or independent person when I wanted desperately the love of another person and they weren't there for me. I wouldn't have gone around leading other people while I was in that state, telling people what's right for them and what's not. I want you desperately to love me. I love you so. Why don't you love me? The Christian God seems to inherently have a fair bit of weakness going on to him, human weakness. And that was a big problem for me with the Christian God, as it seems to be described. And again, there's, you know, every Christian will take a piece and say, well, that's not what we believe. And then there's another group that's a Christian and say, that is what we believe, but we don't believe that other bit. I know I'm generalizing. I recognize that. But God, the Christian God that I was introduced to, seemed very human. And I didn't want a human God. I'm already a human. I know what it's like, you know? If you're like me, God, I don't know that I can follow you. I wouldn't follow me, was where I was coming from. And the contradictions, you know, I put it all there for your usage, except for the stuff that I put there to test you. And the dinosaur bones, those are just to see if you're stupid enough to fall for them. No, no, no. The world's actually just 12,000 years old, or 7,000 years old, or 14,000 years old, depending on who you're talking to. And I made it all up. And everything that you see came from nothing, and it's all magic. Magic, magic, magic. And then, after magicking up all this stuff out of nothing, and being omnipotent and able to do anything at any time, and part the seas, and I don't need to use energy for that because I can just make energy. Even though I'm magic, and I created the world like that, then what I came up with was I decided to assign rules to the universe that you all live in, where there isn't magic, where energy is neither created nor destroyed, even though I created it. And where everything that happens because of something else that happened. Where all of your existence, humans, your universe, is one where the domino that falls over at the beginning of the chain is what caused all of the other dominoes to fall. But, to me, I invent dominoes out of nothingness. It's weird. Isn't it? The nature of God would be to create from nothing, and then stick all of his children in a world that is so stringent on the scientific principles and rule sets. God doesn't need math, but we do. Like, here's the thing. When you look at any piece of art, you tend to be able to see the artist in the art, right? That's not always the case, but usually that's the case, especially with the master artists, especially with the artists who are really worthy of your respect. You can see them in their work. And so it kind of rubbed in the wrong direction for me that the nature of God's universe would be so different than the nature of God. That the nature of his creation would not reflect what he is. Him. Capital H. That didn't quite wear right on me. One of the reasons why I kept looking. one of the reasons why I was raised Christian, not strongly. There wasn't a lot of church. My mom's not very religious. My father was, you know, off and on a lot more religious than my mother, but, you know, off and on it was more of a thing in his life or less of a thing in his life. But I ended up going to a Christian school from 6th to 8th grade. I was in a Seventh-day Adventist Christian school. And I feel like by as early as 9th grade, maybe I'm exaggerating and maybe I'm just outright wrong, but I feel like it wasn't long, I'm slowing down for the construction zone, it wasn't long before I started calling myself agnostic. Okay, that was a cheer coming in. I didn't just get a ticket? Okay, good. Ah, wait. Don't tell me. If I get off here, I can grab a nap. I'll swing a left, and then I'll head over to, on the GPS, I see a place to sleep. Cheer 5, I just saw a sign for Albuquerque, says Pony. Yay! Are we in New Mexico yet? Maybe. I don't think so. I would guess not, but I haven't been paying attention. I certainly haven't been paying attention. Have you? Suckers. I effing hate religion as a whole. I grew up going to Catholic schools, says RMAJ, and my parents, although not religious, did make us go to church when we were younger. Okay, not there. It's ahead and to the left. Thank you for taking my GPS away. Right when I needed it. I'm just trying to get back here so I can have a bit of a nap. Yeah, I went to church some when I was younger. I remember doing that thing. I remember it being not particularly interesting, you know? It was fine. Some of the stories were good, you know, occasionally. It depends on sort of the quality of the preacher, doesn't it? Pastor. How relevant he's making what he has to say to, you know, reality. No, what did I do? I don't want to turn the radio on. I wanted to turn the vehicle off and then have a nap. There we go. But yeah, we did a bit of church. Not that much. Another E. Jesus, when I saw the word enter, I almost hit enter and then we would have slept some more. Turn the lights off. It's daytime now. Get back on the road. A long way to go, and I don't actually know how long to get there. Deedly-dee, deedly-dee-dee. Hang on. I want to see on the map where we are. We are... I don't understand. We are on the edge? We're on the edge. We're about to cross into New Mexico. They want me to go back and then loop around and come out. Screw you. If I have the option to get back over to here without having to do that, then that's what I'm doing. But alright. We'll see. We'll see. Don't trust the GPS in this game, people. It doesn't necessarily know what the hell's going on. I'm gonna probably just cross up ahead. It looks like there's a road that I can take to the left, get across there, and then come back up to the on-ramp that I was nearest to before. The creator, by definition, wouldn't have a mother. Wait, did somebody call God a mother? Wait, is Casper VLD here? Pawn, you're boring your avatar into yawning. I can bypass the way station. Well, that's good because... Oh! Okay. Oh, okay, just a little bit of damage. I couldn't be bothered. Don't trust the GPS in this game. It doesn't know what it's doing. This is the better way. Engine malfunction. It'll be fine. Keep me going. Look, it was a construction zone. You guys were supposed to be going slower and watching out for this sort of thing. Your fault, not mine. There we go. Alright, we're back on the road. How do I get a hall pass for life, says the secret to everybody. When I die, I'm going to go up to this creator and kick him in the... Oh, I see. That's where we got the mother thing. Yeah, the idea of the creator god, whose universe in no way reflects, his nature, as described to us by silly Christians. There are not silly Christians who have better ideas about God, and let's talk about those. Cheer 5. Oh yeah, Pawn, stick it to the man. Make your own roads, says Mage Lord Exelberg. My demand upon God and religion in general was that the nature of God, you know, be discoverable here, in this life, as we are. Apparently I do have to pull over. I think it said I had to pull over. Alright, fine. you know, it seems a little bit, not quite fair cricket, so to speak. Do I just go straight? It looks like it's straight through at this one. Oh, interesting. They've even got different friggin' way stations that are modeled after the different way stations in the different states. And this one has an X-ray. That's what that was. It was X-raying the contents of my truck. Oh, cool. Motor Transportation Division, Gallup Port of Entry. Okay. Right, because we're now in New Mexico. We're in New Mexico! Major Exelbirth! Thank you for giving me New Mexico. I'm in it now. Awesome. I need to service my vehicle also, but don't pay attention to that. Pay that no mind. I required, because it didn't seem very fair, I required of my God, of any God rather, that the nature, that his nature, the nature of reality, the nature of existence, all have a bit to do with one another. I don't like the idea that I've made the rules different for you than they are everywhere else and than they are for me. Are you going to move over? No, it's fine. I don't like that idea. Because if you can't discover God in the world that God created, if God isn't obvious and apparent, just in the nature of his creation, that just doesn't sit right with me. Sorry. You know, if there is a God that did that, that's doing that, I'm not gonna follow you anyway. Because that ain't right, buddy. Like, there are basically, I demand that my God be a better person than I am. And I wouldn't do that to people. You know, if I had the power to create, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put you into a world where the world itself was at odds with the nature of your reality. So, yeah, my God is going to have to be a little bit better than that on the uptake. So I couldn't get on board with that. Now that said, what is, like, really the nature of God? We get away from the dogmatic, religious... Every religion gets dumber the longer that it exists, because the people who, like, had some truth to share, some spiritual wisdom, start sharing it, and then a church gets made, and the people who they shared it with start spreading it around themselves, regardless of whether they actually understand what they've been taught. I really need to get this thing repaired. So it was a bad idea to cut across the median on the highway and slam into traffic like 65 miles per hour? Who would have known? I tried to put on the cruise control and the engine died. Off the border of New Mexico, just a few years ago, all the nations of this world were at war. America's greatest men were working hard then on things they had never did before. Oh. You got a shanty for us to say, is this a tune? Are you going to sing to us, hologram one? God is the natural paradox, a singularity. It goes beyond reason. Den D, you're actually moving me to where I wanted to go, and you're moving me there a lot quicker. What is the nature of God when you get, you know, straight down to it and you take the dogmatic crap that's been built on it by people who didn't get it from the first place? The nature of God is the single source out of which everything else flows. The single source of all energy in the universe. The single source of everything that exists. When people try to talk about a creator God, they're talking about a God who is the source of everything that we know. A source of you and me, and the Earth, and the other planets, and the solar system, and the everything. Keep going, engine. Keep going for me. I need God on my side here, or I'm never going to make it to New Mexico. Oh, I'm already here. Ah, screw him then. You know, I really feel that the biblical teachings were just trying to, like, humanity needed a word, didn't it? Regardless of your belief and you know, religion and stuff like that, we needed a word to describe that which was unknowable. You know, at the time, we certainly needed the word. And here's where I want to get to with this conversation. We still kind of need the word, don't we? We needed a word to describe the single source out of which everything came that we didn't understand, from which all things are. And then when we went out and we started exploring God's world, God's universe, in order to try and better understand it, which is the origins of science and the scientific method, were people trying to better understand God. It was a very, you know, religious-centric thing that science grew out of. It was people looking out at the world, trying to understand the world that God created in order to understand God. You know, Darwin was very caught on that edge and back and forth, flipping back and forth, because that's where he was coming from. He was trying to better understand the nature of God's world and God's creation to better understand God, and then he decided that there is no God. This is all just functions. And then later in his life, he flip-flopped again and was like, oh, actually, these functions are, maybe this is the work of God. Science has, you know, its past is in religion. A very natural thing, because before science, what was there trying to explore the universe and understand the comings and goings of, you know, weather patterns and things like that? It was shamans, it was spiritual people, it was religious. They were trying to make sense of a world that was too big and too unknown for them to really grasp. Jesus, is there a place to repair my vehicle? Yeah, I don't see one. Just keep going, Pawn. They were trying to explain and understand their world. So, you know, had to do something. These were the early scientists. And to look down your nose at them and say, these religions and spirituality, these were the people who were actually, instead of just living their life day to day, so, you know, hand to mouth, trying to just get by and have their children and be done with it. These were the people who investigated the nature of reality before anybody knew anything. And as I say, we needed a word, and we still kind of need a word to describe the source of you, prick! Okay, now I might need to... Why did you lock your brakes up? Look at him back there. There was nothing in front of him! There was no reason for him to lock his brakes up. American Truck Simulator is so good. So good. I'm not saying that ironically, because, you know, people do that. People absolutely... Who put that bus there? It came out of nowhere, officer. Jumped right out in front of me. We needed a word to describe God. Jesus, God hates me. Look, as soon as I start taking the piss out of God, look what starts happening. I'm just hitting buses, crossing. We needed a word, and we still need a word, because here's where this all comes back to at the end of the day. Much as you want to look at religion and, you know, and go, God, you guys are just, this is ridiculous. And your belief system that doesn't make any sense, and you refuse to acknowledge science, and just, your idea of God doesn't make sense with the nature of the universe that God created. This is ridiculous. Much as you might like to look down your nose at it, the simple fact is, we still can't figure out how the first 13 seconds of the Big Bang happened, or why all the energy was in one single place at one single time. Where it all, like, what was the event that sparked that? Why did it happen? Where did the energy come from? What was it doing before this Big Bang that we've decided is the source of everything that we know? Science has no answer for that. And science has a lot of answers these days. God, my truck sounds horrible. It sounds absolutely... We found Albuquerque! Woo! And then I passed it. Oh, I should have stopped and said hello. Science still can't do anything with that. And science understands a lot of shit now, you know? Understands a lot of quantum mechanics where, you know, the way that black holes and white dwarf stars, like collapsing stars, how do they work? How could they possibly contain the amount of energy that we detect radiating out from them? Well, we had to invent another dimension to explain it, but apparently there are other dimensions. We found out that particles can exist in exactly the same space at exactly the same time, so long as they are going in opposite directions. So long as they're not going in the same direction. You can stack energy in space-time, so long as it's doing two different things. We didn't know that until recently in terms of, like, you know, the history of science. Who's cheering? Cheering 600! Don't mind me! Just want to be the bits leader! Thank you, Evil Downer Balkan! And congratulations to Evil Downer Balkan, our new bits leader! I sure hope someone else doesn't cheer 650 and push you off the leaderboard. Thank you, Evil Downer Balkan. One of the scientific theories where the energy for the Big Bang came from is that there is no energy needed at all. Like a big battery, we have positive and negative energy in the universe, and antimatter is a result of an imbalance rather than creation of energy, says Casper BLD. There's a lot of theories and none of them can explain, like, we can't explain the physics of what was going on in the first 13 seconds. I think it's the 13 seconds of the Big Bang. And the reason they say that is because we can understand how it's possible to have, like, more energy in a single space than we previously knew could exist, because we've discovered, you know, additional ways for energy to stack, quantum physics and stuff like that. We now understand that black holes can lose mass, even though that doesn't make any sense. If it's a black hole, it should just constantly be gaining mass until it eats the whole universe, right? Because nothing ever escapes from it. It should just be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but they actually lose mass. How do they do that? There's friggin' particles that are crossing dimensional barriers that are popping into and out of our existence from other dimensions. Like, there's so much that is understood, or at least theoretically conceived of, to explain so many of the operations of the universe. But even with all that stuff, there is a certain point where you get to the Big Bang and you say, we have no idea how this amount of energy could possibly have been condensed into that space. Jesus, you're cheering. Cheering 5, pizza time, said a guy called Pi. And then, cheer 300. Top this! Happy Zendnesday, says Gervasian. Thank you, Gervasian, for the cheers. I didn't actually mean to get this kicked off, but I ain't gonna stop it now. Cheer 301. Yeet, says this is secret difference. Black holes lose mass through Hawking radiation, but it takes trillions of years for a black hole to lose its mass. Right. There's crazy, crazy mechanics out there, and with all of this understanding, it still does not make sense to us. And it shouldn't make sense. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. The idea that all of the energy in the entire universe was condensed to a single point, or even just a single area, and then there was, for some reason, it exploded and did all of the things that it did in all that time. And even if we could explain the Big Bang is like a cutting off point, isn't it, historically? Because it's wiped the slate. We don't know what happened before the Big Bang. We don't know if that energy that had condensed existed as a whole nother universe before. You know, presently, the theory is that the universe is just going to keep expanding and expanding and not contract on itself, which wasn't that long ago, scientifically speaking, that the theory was the universe will expand and then it will, you know, fall in on itself from the combined gravitational forces and contract. But the measurements show the speed of expansion continuing to expand and actually speeding up as it does so. So now we're looking at the figures and going, you know, it looks like it's just going to keep getting larger and larger. But the truth is, we don't know. That's just what it looks like right now. You know, it wasn't long ago that we looked at the same stimuli and said, looks like the universe is going to, you know, collapse on itself eventually. And it's just like, we need something. We need a word for that which is indescribable, for that which is the source of everything we know, don't we? I mean, that's all it was, God, in the beginning. The word to describe that which isn't, you know? That which we cannot explain, but which is the source of everything we know. And maybe there is no source of everything we know, but in human terms, we needed that. Tier 5, yada yada bing bong, theory yada yada, warp 10, yada yada, antimatter, says the guy called 5. Single electron theory is very good. My favorite theory has everything to do with the energy needed to pull quarks apart from each other being so great that other quarks would spontaneously come into existence. But since the universe expansion is accelerating, eventually it will reach a point where quarks are pulled apart from each other. Can't remember the name of it, but I found it interesting. Leave quark alone, damn it, says a guy called... And May Short Extra with cheers 5. Gotta take off on D&D session in 10 minutes. Have fun antagonizing Pi with Zen. Will do! Have a good night. RMAJ says, yep, and then the universe will die of heat death, says RMAJ. Is one theory that we're on right now. But there's a lot of things, there's a lot of reasons why it used to be the theory was it will expand and then it will get to a certain point and it will collapse in on itself. There's a lot of reasons why that makes sense. And I'm not saying that that's right and that, you know, the observations are that the universe is expanding and it's getting faster as it does so. But, like, the way that we explain that right now is with the same kind of bullshit that religion comes up with. And now I'm going to piss some people off. We're like, no, it's not bullshit. dark matter and dark energy, you're just saying the things that we... Damn it! Turn the lights on. That's just terms for... We see the effect, but have no explanation for it. We don't know where the dark energy is coming from. We don't know how it is that we have, you know, this kind of... what appears to be a pressure system in the universe. The only way that it could be... Stop! What the light's doing! That it could continue to be expanding is that there's an internal pressure pushing outward, and that's caused by dark energy. What's dark energy? We don't fucking know! It's just a word we made up because we needed a word to describe that there has to be a source for the effect that we're seeing. In other words, God. Which is also just a word that humans made up to describe the source of an effect that we have observed, that is real for us. Dark matter and dark energy. Dark matter is easier to say, well, we just can't see it, but we presume it's there because of the effects that we see. Alright, dark matter. But dark energy? Fucking nature of that? Well, we don't know, you know. Basically, we're just describing everything that we can't describe yet because we can't see it. Cheer 51. Challenge accepted, Dramacian. Oh, crap. What's Dramacian? Oh, Evil Down Our Book. They're fighting. They're fighting for the leaderboard. Stop it. Stop with my lights. I need them. I'm gonna get a ticket. Go! With the engine malfunction. Visit services. I've been watching, you know, somewhat, the sides of the road for service stations. They haven't existed yet. I will stop and pay money to fix this. You just have to give me somewhere to stop. Damn you, New Mexico. What do you have against mechanics? And God? And dark energy? If you want to get into freaky science, read up on string theory, says Casper VLD. I like to point that out. I like to bring it back to that. Because God is a word that humans invented to describe the source from which we come, in the belief that there is a source from which we come. And through our observations scientifically, and intellectually, and technologically, we have observed that there does seem to be a single source from which everything came. I spent the first of this, you know, taking the piss out of God and saying Creator God doesn't make any sense to me, and it doesn't. And I'm not voting for a Creator God. I'm not voting for any kind of, it's kind of like us God. But what I really would like is, especially with this community, because we're so damn smart. And you're also, like, scientifically, you know, you got acumens, and you understand things that a lot of other people wouldn't, you know, understand or don't bother thinking about, and it's in your head, and it's these are questions that you have that you wanted answered, and, you know, you went out and found out, and that's to be respected. I want for the very, very smart minds amongst us who love science to not shit all over religion, because it's your ancestry. It's where you came from. And when you get down to the terms, and you strip them of their dogmatic bullshit that they've accumulated over all of these years, science has dogmatic bullshit in it too. I mean, it's science, so there's tends to be someone who knows the truth and steps in and says, you've misunderstood. That's not what we meant. But there's a whole lot of people out there spitting out half-formed science. You know, half-understood concepts. Stop! I don't need another ticket. I do need to repair... Oh! We're in town! We're in Tacoma, whatever it is. The place that we're supposed to be dropping things off. I didn't see a place to repair yet. What do you have against friggin' mechanics? New Mexico. Can I go? Let me go. I want to go. Here. Because the word God is just as good a description for where we come from as the Big Bang. Because the Big Bang is just as unexplained a phenomenon as God. And if we get to the point where we can track it back to, you know, and explain how it is that all that energy could have been all in one point, we'll still have the mystery of what caused it to explode. Why wasn't it just stable and stay there? Because clearly it was stable at one point to get all compressed there. And then if we solve that mystery, then the question will be, what was before the Big Bang? You know? How did all of this stuff get packed in there in the first place? Did all that energy pre-exist? And if it did, then how do we find ourselves within a universe sorry if I'm giving you agita by whipping the camera back and forth. I had to check my angles. How do we find ourselves lived in this universe that appears to be in a state of expansion that will never end? If all that energy got stuck into one point, all of the energy that we know in the universe and more, because dark energy... Ah! Frickin' lights! Lights! With the... What was I saying? Something really important. If all of that energy got stuck in one place, how is it that our universe can just continue to expand? You know? Because the easiest explanation would be to say that this isn't the first time this has happened. Okay, stop. I'm good? I'm good. Alright, we get to watch a train. I should probably turn my headlights off, and then the engine dies on its own. The easiest explanation, the simplest, the one that survives the razor, would be that this isn't the first time this has happened. You know, that this universe has expanded, has collapsed before, collapsed in on itself to a single point, and then boom, and Big Bang. That would be a really good explanation. A simple one. The simplest. But our evidence shows that that's not what's happening here. And that just makes it more a mystery. Where did the source of energy come from? Is there a source of energy? Is this just an illusion? If it's an illusion, there's a lot of energy in this illusion. So where did the energy come from in the illusion? Like, it's... The mystery doesn't go away when you throw out the word God, or when you introduce the word dark energy, or when you introduce the word Big Bang. This doesn't solve anything. It doesn't answer any real questions. We're in the midst of trying to understand something that we may never understand. Seems far more likely that we'll destroy ourselves before we get to the point where we could possibly understand. But it may also just not be within human capability and consciousness to understand this. Unless, you know, we put some... I'm sorry! Jesus! God! There's somebody behind me, apparently. Honking. Infinite smallness, infinite largeness, Sister Macium. I am legally a genius, but that means jack shit in life. Was that Pi, probably? Pi, you don't exist. Even the persona you push upon us is false. Casper is the only genius that is humble in here, jeez. Yeah. What about me? I'm a genius and I'm humble. Shut the fuck up. You don't know. So technically, if I'm reading the multiverse theory correctly, somewhere out there, my love, a sexy shark girl is out there wondering the same thing. I and sexy shark girl are staring at the same moon on a different dimensional plane tonight, and that comforts me in the night. Where do you need it? Let's play it safe. My vehicle is like dying on me. Just let me pull it in. I'm sorry. Jesus, I'm not. Are you right behind me? He's probably right. Whoever was honking. I'm gonna hit the fence. I think I might already be on the... Put it in a low differential. Or disable the differential. I don't know how a differential works, but do something with my differential that will make this... Just pull past the... Can you see it? You see... Ah, I got past it. Jesus. I was stuck on a fence. Huh. This is not the first. This universe expands forever until all energy is dissipated in the heat death, but another will be created with its own space-time within this one somewhere, says Smok Knight. A whole lot of theories. There's a whole lot of things you can, you know, say and guess at, but the mystery isn't solved by it. Not solved by any of them. Tolerable. Oh, right, I was carrying things, wasn't I, when I decided to jump the curve. I only made 28,000 on something that was going to start out to pay like 60. That's fine. I got to take the piss out of God to some extent. That's all I wanted. Damn, Paul, I wasn't supposed to read that. It was for chat. This is RMAJ. What did I read that I wasn't supposed to read? I didn't, yeah. I wasn't paying attention. I was just reading it. Paying attention is my strong suit. I need weed for that. And then I can pay attention. But only if you're really quick about it, because time distension. When are you getting that Tesla semi-truck in the game, Pawn? This is Gasper VLD. Is there a Tesla semi? I didn't know that existed either in-game or in real world. I had no idea. But yeah, just bear that in mind when you're, you know, shitting on religion and whatnot. The word God is to describe a single source out of which everything comes, and that's exactly what we've found. And we still can't explain it. No, don't. What am I doing? I'm not even... Listen, here's what I'm going to do. Before we go to the next live stream break, I'm going to swing a Louie, and I'm going to head into town, and I'm going to try and get this damn thing fixed. Try and find some place in Tucumcari. Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't. Use the following key to deactivate the differential. Okay, I'm just going to come to a stop. Differential off. Did I just turn it off and back on? Where the hell is there an indicator on my... Tier 5 Quan, how are you so clueless about current events? You don't know the Tesla truck? You don't know who Duterte is? I'm clueless about current events because I choose to be. I choose to be. I turned Twitter off. I don't want to know. I don't watch television, so I don't catch the news. I get my news from you. The only trustworthy source. That and Breitbart. Somewhere out there, there's someone who fapped while thinking of you, says Bearsuit Lane. Oh, of course. Hopefully. I mean, I'm hoping, anyway. Who cheered, though? Cheer 5. Keep crashing, says Mason. I should have tried to get in front of that train. Now, that would have been a crash. Damn it! Okay, differential's still on. When I hit V, nothing changes. There's no, like, indicator in my truck that I see, anyway, that tells me whether I've got the differentials locked or not. And there doesn't look like there's anything in Tucumcari. I need a repair. Can I call somebody to come out and just fix her up for me? Because this isn't working. I need a garage. What's that W at the end? This is just a place for picking stuff up. Son of a biscuit. Zoom out even more. Alright, well, downtown Tucumcari at least has some places to sleep. I'm gonna head in that direction. I'm gonna hope. I'm just gonna hope that they've got a friggin' mechanics somewhere in the friggin' town. It's a red icon, so it's easy to see on the map when it pops up, and I haven't seen it for hundreds of miles. Breitbart is fake news. InfoWars is where the real comedy is. It's going straight across. I don't see a mechanics. What am I gonna do? Cheer 5, yes! Cheer 15, 666 bits. You keep having that war. I want to say so much more about the nature of God, though, because, like, now that we've done the taking the piss out kind of thing, you know, there's so much to be said about the nature of God. We can get onto the same page and regard God as, you know, a word to describe the source from which everything comes. There's so much to be said about it. None of which will help anyone. Come on! Why don't you have your headlights on, and why are you sitting there? It's red for me, it must be green for you. Dick. He's a dick. He let me turn, so he's a dick. Seriously, F God, says RMAJ. Hey! Hey! Don't say that about the Big Bang. That's sacral something. Sacrolangus. What it is. Look, it's a fire truck. Can I get a fire truck and drive it around? I don't see any place to repair up ahead. There's a scales, there's 19 different places to sleep. To my left, there's a handicap sign. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna go left, because I definitely don't see anything ahead, but there's a couple of icons that are overlapping. I don't care! Ugh. Couple of icons that are overlapping here, and maybe one of them is someplace where I can get this damn thing fixed. What the hell are you? It's Eddie's. It's not overlapping. I couldn't. It says it's Eddie's on the GPS. Let's have some Eddie's, everybody. I need some fried food to take my mind off of this. What? You can get freight jobs from Eddie's? We could take used packagings all the way back to California. We're not going to. I just made it to New Mexico. I want to explore. But okay, Ed. I'm going to park up back here, and we're going to go to a live stream break. When we come back, maybe I can figure out how to address the nature of God. Which in Buddhism is called Buddha nature. And in Buddhism, Buddha nature means the nature of you. Because you're Buddha. You just haven't figured it out yet. We'll be back in 7 minutes after this live stream break with either a conversation about heroin, marijuana, God, black holes, my intense lack of awareness about current world events. One of those things will happen, but it'll happen 7 minutes from now after we have some cool vibes from Kevin MacLeod. Stay with me. We ain't done here. Pawn not out. Hello, I am the Ronan Pawn, and welcome back to a twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn live stream on twitch.tv/Ronan Pawn. Stars are not born and they do not die. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I'm not buying anything if you shove it to me like that, because I'll find ways to get rid of your ads. Okay. It's ad block. Not good on Twitch. Don't use it. Don't. I don't have it. Amazon ads are great. Are they, hologram? Great for what? Amazon ads are great for your friends finding out what you're doing when they're not around. So, hey, come here. Check this out on my computer. I want you to see this. And you go to a website and why is that in your ad history? It's not history. It's why are they suggesting that you be into Volgags? No, I don't. That's... If somebody else was using it. Welcome back to American Truck Simulator, ladies and gentlemen, and Revolution Void's Time Flux. Stars are not born, and they do not die. What are we doing now? We're trying to get my truck fixed. I don't want another job before I get my truck fixed, and there's no place in this damn town to get it fixed. Is there, like, could I call and pay extra money and get somebody in this damn game to come around and give me a tune-up? Because I need it. Also, can I order a lady of the night to come around and give me a tune-up? Because I need it. I need it. You don't know about it. Look at, it's dying. She's dying. Oh, the old girl. Maybe I should just buy a new truck. I think I got enough money. $406,000 I've made? Yeah, I got enough money for a new truck. Just leave this one by the side of the road. Maybe instead of fixing this truck, we'll just find a place to buy one. Where are we going and what are we doing? You're looking for a thing, Pawn. And I think the truck just died again. No, it didn't. Zoom out. Tucumcari. Tucumcari. Who's cheering? Cheer 100. Call for help. F7. F7. Visit service station. Call assistance service. Assistance service can take you and your truck to Pajarito Rest Area. It will cost $1,760 and it'll take 3 hours and 51 minutes. Cool. Do it for me. No, I wanted to sit here for 3 hours while you drove. That would have made the live stream really easy on me. Cool. Thank you for that tip, Dramacine, and thank you for the 100 cheer. Alright, to repair, upgrade, or paint your truck, press enter. Press enter, let's get some service. I don't need any upgrades, she's fine as long as I stop driving her into traffic. I'm only gonna pay $1,786. I should drive into traffic more often. This is cheap. You're cheap is what you are. We're 100%ed there. I want to top off, I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna top off me gas. What the hell just happened with your, I don't know. My mouth. Oh wait, F3. No, what do I? F5. 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 Let's top her off. Wait, it's gas over there. Top her off, and then maybe even take a nap, and then we'll get a job. Huh? We'll do it right, the way that you should do it for once. Stars aren't born. They don't die. Stupid humans. I'm gonna get onto that sooner or later. Yeah, I'm gonna get onto it right now. Stars don't die. You know, we think, when we talk about stars and things like that, we talk about the formation of planets, we talk about the formation of everything that we know in galaxies and whatnot. We think and we talk in terms of, you know, star death. Stars dying. Stars don't die. Stars are not an entity. They aren't born and they don't die. Stars are, if anything, if it can be described in human language, stars are an event. They take place. They are the process through which the universe relieves itself all over the counter, and then you gotta clean up. Stars are a process. They are an event, not an entity. They are not born, and they do not die. They simply go through their process, and then when the star has exhausted the portion of its process that we call a star, it becomes a portion of its process that we call elements, and matter, and then planets, and then people, and things like that. Carl Sagan, of course, said something about everyone's stardust. All of us. Everything we are, everything we know, everything we see, It's all stardust, and that's a thought that is supposed to bring your mind to a place that makes you recognize, yeah, we're not so different from anything, are we? We're not really different than anything that we see, or from any other person. We're all stardust. We all have our history in the same exact activity, in the same exact place, the same exact energy. What am I doing here? I can't see anything. Could I get headlights on the side of my truck? Because I kind of need them. I need them! Bring them to me. Alright, pull in, block the whole damn parking lot, and have a nap. And then we'll get a job. So yeah, stars are a process. They're not an entity. They're not a thing. We call them a star, we put them in a box, but they're not a star. They're a process. They're an event. They don't live, and they don't die. Can we agree to that? That makes sense, doesn't it? You get what I'm saying? It's a process. Like getting a pimple is a process. A pimple doesn't live or die. A pimple is a way of getting rid of some waste energy. When you get right down to it, everything's energy. So, you know, that little white mucusy crap that you squeeze out. It's a process. It's an event. The event of having a pimple. The pimple isn't alive, and the pimple doesn't live, and it doesn't die. It isn't even born. I need to get a job. Yeah, you do. This Twitch thing isn't working out for you. You can't even get through your thought there. Get out. You know what? Just keep rolling down the road while you're rolling. I'm gonna get a job. From the freight market. If we can agree to the idea that stars neither live nor die, which I hope we can, I think we should be able to. If we can agree to that, then it should not be a large jump. It should be quite obvious where I'm going with this. You don't live or die either. You weren't born, and you don't die. You are an event. You are a pimple. The pimple is the mechanic by which your body gets rid of excess energy and waste, and you are the event by which the universe expresses its excess energy and waste. Right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong about that? We like to think of ourselves as something special. We're living and dying things. That's why we look at other things and we say, oh, that's you know, that star is a dying star. That's a new star. That star has just been born. That's a young star. That's a star in its middle age. In its late life, it'll be doing that. We put that there because that's how we think of ourselves, because we're so special. You are an event. And just like a star, you neither live nor you die. Is there anywhere else in New Mexico? I want to explore New Mexico. Give me a bunch of short jobs that expose me to... Oh, that's horrible. I'll take that one, because it's horrible. Cheapest word. And I gotta go back to go forward and all that. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. How do you know for the star's existence it could say that it lived? Goes back to time Juan played the game Everything. We say that we lived, too. I'm not even going to argue that a star doesn't have sentience. I don't care. I don't care whether it has sentience or not. I don't care whether you have sentience or not. You are not in a state of being born and then living and then dying. You are an event taking place. You are stardust. The stardust is still there. It's just in a different shape. I started this whole thing out talking about the nature of God and taking the piss out of God in general and the concepts of God. But I got on to talking about the nature of God. And the nature of God, when you get down to like just the dictionary definition, is a single source from which all things come. Carl Sagan told you that you are stardust just like everyone and everything else in this damn universe. We all have the same history. Damn it, mouse. We all came from the same place. We are all made of the same stuff. We don't just share genomes with the things that look like us or the things that are on this planet. We share a history of being, energy, in all of these different shapes and forms since the beginning of the Big Bang. You're stardust, but you're not just stardust. Before you were stardust, you were something else, that everything else was. You are the same energy that you were at the dawn of creation, with quotes around. Nothing's changed, except the event. Except the event state. At the beginning, you were in the source of creation. You were the source of creation. And then came a big explosion. The big explosion was you in the event of exploding, and that big explosion led to you being in the state of star. Being a star. And then the stars decayed, and then it was the state of you being stardust, and then the state of you being Earth, and then the state of you being single-celled organisms, and so on, until now, where you, the source of creation, are now in the state of Ted. of Jerry and Sarah. But you're still exactly what you were at the very beginning. Everything that we know is just one thing, right? We should be able to agree to that as well. This isn't spirituosity. This is science. Everything is one thing. Everything is all made of the same stuff. And I don't just mean because historically we were once this. It's because everything is energy, expressing itself in a different state. It's in a different portion of its event. But it's all energy. All of it is purely energy. Yeah, cut him off! That guy's in the state of being cut off by the Ronin pawn. You're still the same energy. Nothing's changed. Nothing gets added to this universe and nothing gets thrown away. Neither, no energy is created or destroyed in this closed system that we've got here. Thus spoke Zarathustra. So says science. And if you believe that, then you are the same energy that you were in the crucible of the beginning of the before time began. You're still that. You're just in a different event state. And everything around you is the same energy. And so the question becomes, the only question here, I think we should all be able to agree to that. Everything is just energy. The chair you sit on is just energy. There's no actual physicalness to this. That's just our experience of it. It's mostly empty space, and the sense that a brick wall is firm and impassable is only because of the way that the energy that it's made of expresses itself. Electrons and magnetism, forces pushing off of one another. It's just energy. It's always been energy, and nothing is ever anything more than energy. It's just appearing in a different way. If we can agree to that, then the next immediate thing to investigate is the you identify with. The Jill and the Harry. The Harry Jill, so to speak. The person with a name. Is that all you are? Are you just a fraction of the energy that existed at the beginning of the universe, that everything is? How did you become a separate entity from all of the other energy? Is the energy in pockets somehow? Was it different? Did the energy think of itself as Ted and Mary? Was that... Maybe you start to see, now we're getting the spirituosity and the woo in there. Or at least what I think you'll probably think of it as. But it's just science. How are you separate from me? How is your energy that vibrates in the way that it's vibrating presently disconnected from the energy that I am presently vibrating? How are you separate from the chair you're sitting on right now? How are you separate from anything that you can see, that you can perceive with any of your senses? The question is, are you just a little pocket of energy in the universe, in its current event state, or have you just confused the experience that you're having for the entire nature of reality and for the entire nature of you? This isn't one of those lovey-dovey, heartfelt, like, I want everybody to, realize that we're all one, and let's all kumbaya together and sing and just, and then we'll treat each other better, and nobody will be racist. That's not what I'm going for here. It's a little bit deeper than that. That's nice if you take that away from it, but it's a little bit deeper than that. You and I, oh my god, I'm dragging 2 of them? Oh, that's too much for me. You and I and your sofa and the bird outside and the planet Mars and the galaxy, which that's what they call it where they live. We call it something else, but there it's... And you will know that when you visit it. When you travel through the 7th dimension, through your 3rd eye, everything that is an apparent entity. Now we're talking Zen. Now we're talking the language of Zen. Everything that is an apparent entity that appears to be separate from everything else is the same energy. It's all one. There is no actual line of delineation between your fingertip and... what can I touch? Your penis. There is no actual line of delineation between the edge of you and the edge of everything else. The oxygen that surrounds us permeates us. Not just comes into the lungs and into the bloodstream. It's part of us. Anything you touch, you're not touching it. You're sharing its... you are trading your energy with it. Electrons are jumping from you to it. And that is a gross, gross thing. And not gross in the sense that, oh, that's gross. That is a gross observation, a gross mechanic. Electrons. Electrons are fucking huge in comparison to what's going on in the universe. There is no line, there is no place where you end and the next thing begins. And not just because, oh, we're breathing the same air and I breathe out and you breathe it in and my carbon dioxide is part of you and you're part of me. No. That again is a very gross and very blunt, obtuse kind of understanding. There's no edge to you. There's no edge to you and there's no end to you. I could say that, you know, the human body emits light, which it does, infrared. And so, the moment that your body existed separate from your womb on the planet, you started emitting infrared light into space. And that the size of the light that you have been projecting since the day that you were born is exactly as many light years as you are old. That's how far away it is, and so that's how big you are. I could say that, but that is also a gross and stupid kind of understanding. Because that centralizes your identity of self in you again, in me, in Bob, in Phyllis. That's convenient, and that's fine, and we all use that as human beings, and we need it in order to interact the way that in the event that we're having right now, it's part of us, it's part of our experience. But it is a denial of what's really going on here, of what we really are, of our true nature. I don't end, and you don't begin. There are not edges. Yeah, screw both of you. Yeah! Just being stupid. I do not end, and you do not begin. The notion that everything is one is an intensely scientific notion. Everything is one. And when you look on a smaller and smaller scale at anything that it seems to appear in the universe, molecules, and particles, and the smaller you get, the smaller you get, the smaller you get, eventually all you find is energy. Different vibrations, is how I like to describe it. Doesn't have to be that in a physical sense. Jesus, God, lock them all up. Wow, this thing is heavy. When it gets pushing you down a hill. Doesn't have to be vibration, but the way I think of it is everything is energy, and it's just vibrating at a different frequency. And so it produces different effects. And then those energies interact with one another, and they produce different effects. When you get right down to it, all the energies that are interacting with all the other energies, they're interacting with themselves. Because where do you define the edge of anything? What's the boundary of a cork? Where does the gluon field begin and end? What's the edge of an electron? Say we've got microscopes for that, we can see the edge of an electron. Oh, widen your goddamn mind, will you? Do you feel me? Do you get what I'm on about here? Probably not. We think of ourselves as Todd and Jane. We have an identity. Our identity is built on our thoughts and our feelings and our ideas and our opinions, which are just more thoughts. And we strongly identify with that, and we believe it to be real, and we believe it to be us, is the thing. I'm not saying that you're not a son of a bitch. Did it crash? Fucking crashed. You bastard. You bastard. I'm not saying that you don't have thoughts. I'm not saying that your thoughts and feelings aren't real. I'm saying that your thoughts and your feelings, which comprise your identity. Skip it. Skip it. I don't need my ears blown out. Your thoughts and your feelings, which comprise your identity, your past, your memories, all that stuff bounced around inside your mind. Saying that is the smallest part of what you actually are. And you've identified with it as though that's all you are. As though that is yourself. That's me. I'm Jamiroquai. Maybe you'd like to be. That's my name. Don't wear it out. That's who and what I really am. And you worry about that small self. That small little you who you've named and who, has all these ideas and these thoughts and opinions. And won't do that, but I'll do that. I want to do that, but I never do that. All of that is you, that you call yourself. The smallest part of what you are. You think that's it? That's the edge. That's the edge. That's where I am. You believe it. And you miss what's really going on. And you miss the truth of how immortal you are. You were stardust, and now you're this. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. You worry about that little self like you're going to lose it, without realizing the obvious scientific fact that you are immortal. You can't be destroyed. You weren't created. That's just science, baby. You're nothing more than energy, and energy doesn't go away. But you worry about that little self. You worry about not just losing it in terms of like, I'm gonna die someday. Stars don't die. Not just in the sense that someday I'm not gonna be here anymore, and then I'll be dead, and then my experience will be over, and then, oh. You worry about losing that small self just in, like, things coming along that make you have to think a different way, or, something pushing on the boundaries of your opinions, or, someone you let into your life is gonna say something to you, or do something to you, or you're gonna get hurt. You worry about that tiny, infinitesimally small portion of what you really are, the one you've given a name, and decided, all of its ideas are you. If I take your arm off, are you still you? If I take away a kidney, are you still you? Interesting what parts of us that we decide are us. If I take away your heart, are you still you? Here's a tricky question. I'll be dead. I don't know, am I still me? Kinda need the heart. The kidney, the arm, I was like, well, I'd like to keep them, but I can do without. Just interesting that I can take away these different parts of your personal bicycle. And some of them aren't you, and some of them are. Your thoughts and your feelings, your mind. The things you've chosen to identify with because you were kind of taught to, weren't you? It's natural, too. Because it's natural. It's natural as a human being to identify with this, and that's all. And then when you're surrounded by a society that never questions that never suggests, hey, wait a second, you realize that we're all just energy, energy is timeless, and that makes us immortal, and before we were this, we were stardust, before we were stardust, we were literally that which formed the crucible of creation. When you're surrounded by a society that very much, values life based on what you can do with it while you're in this little meat package on this little planet, very easy to form that identity and never question it. And never say, maybe I'm more than that. There is no edge to you. In Buddhism, when we talk about Buddha nature, people don't often understand. Because people don't often get this explanation that I'm giving you. It takes a while to get it out, and it takes kind of a set of understandings to begin with. When we talk about Buddha nature, we're talking about the fact that you're God. And I'm God. And everything is God. And the concept of you and I and everything is an illusion. You don't end at the edges of your body. You are everything. Interacting with yourself, experiencing yourself subjectively from the perspective of a human being with a mind and an identity. Tier 5, Pawn, this is too effing deep. I'm sorry if I'm hurting your brain. What was cheered before that? Rex Gates cheering 25. Hello, Rex. Welcome. You realize that you're not your mind, right? You realize that there's no edge to you. I'm not talking woo. I'm not talking spirituality. Everything that I've said has been backed up by scientific fact so far. And if you'd like to question my scientific facts about the nature of energy, about the fact that everything that is came from everything that was, the order of the universe, that nothing happens for no reason. All energy is simply the continuation of a previous process. You can't throw a tennis ball against a wall and it just stops and sticks to the wall unless you've applied pudding. Unless you've dipped your tennis ball in pudding. I'm gonna drag race it. Come on! Make space! Give way! It's the open road in the desert. Everything that is because of everything that was, and everything that was is everything that is. Nothing's new, nothing's old. It's just changing states. And you are it. You are all of it. You're everything. If anything is God, it's you. But you are, getting to have kind of a holiday. You get to experience this from the perspective of one little meat pillow on the surface of one little planet in all of you. But that's not you. That's the smallest portion. Rex Gates cheers 10. I realize that I have carbon of other people's farts that makes up my tongue. Whatever works for you. Buddhism did it for me, but if it's the carbon tongue fart philosophy, whatever gets you there, whatever gets you home. You're hurting me, and so have other people, like a lot of other people, so I ask you, how have I come to this conclusion? RMAJ, and why are there no names? Are people arguing about something? Are you hurting each other? Incidentally, that's impossible. Because you are each other. You're hurting yourself. Am I wrong? Am I wrong about anything so far? On the sciencey side, anyway. Do you concede that, yes, I am the same energy from the beginning of everything, and yes, there is no hard edge to anything in this universe. Everything is blurred. Everything is an interaction. Everything is energy trading back and forth. But I do have this mind, and from this mind I perceive an external world through these, dumb senses, through these organelles that evolved into eyeballs and nostrils and whatnot. I perceive a lot of things through these organs. And I've identified my existence as the brain attached to these organs. Does it start to sound stupid yet? Does it start to sound not scientific? Cheer 5 1, I don't think anyone was disagreeing that we were all made of the same stuff. No? I would hope not. I would hope not. But I think that the place where if anybody's going to have a problem with it, it's going to be this. The idea that you are not just this brain attached to this set of organs. Do I need my lights on? Probably. Oh, that's a left. That's not green for me, that's green for him. Does it start to sound stupid yet? There's no edge to anything, but I've defined my experience through these eyeballs, these nostrils, these ears, this skin and flesh, this tongue for taste. This is me. It sounds stupid when I say it out loud, doesn't it? Who's cheering now? You guys keep hiding your cheers. No, Rex, cheer 5. You discovered cloves, says Rex Skates. I discovered some better stuff than cloves, man. We got heroin, and what were we talking about earlier? Cloves? Been smoking clove cigarettes? What are you talking about? I discovered magic mushrooms, and now I know. I saw it through my third eye. I experienced reality from the perspective of my actual self, and realized that my small self is the smallest self. The cloves helped too. They tasted better. Tier 5, it's the town. Oh, the town was cloves? I didn't notice. I'm too busy not paying attention to anything. Hate is such a volatile and strong word to use in place of don't trust, especially we were just simply existing in the same space as you. What is going on with the RMAJs and the... Are you having a big throwdown? Sorry. Sorry, can I help you with that? Here, let me help you with that. If someone tries to give you a gift and you don't accept it, who's got the gift? One of my Zen master's earlier teachings that I got from him about people trying to make you feel a certain way or allowing yourself to be, you know, to feel hurt by things that just are nonsense, you know? Somebody tries to give you a gift and you say no, don't hit me! I'm going to take out the speed limit sign because I'd rather hit that than the person. Who's got the gift? You don't end at your fingernails. You don't end at the bottom of your toes. And to think so is kind of stupid, isn't it? It's ridiculous. It's not scientific in the least. The fact that you've got a mind and your mind is attached to these senses and you have been perceiving things exclusively through them is very convincing. But it's a convincing illusion. What you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, scientifically speaking, is all illusion. It's all illusion. You don't know what anything actually tastes like. There's no such thing as actual taste. Your brain receives electrical from the game when it crashes, and it creates an experience for you. But the experience only exists in your mind. You perceive taste a certain way, another person perceives taste a different way. But it's all subjective. None of it is true. It's just your experience attached to these stupid, dumb, little, don't take another job, finish the one you've got on. These dumb, senseless little senses. I missed a couple of cheers. Who's cheered? Cheer 5. Guys, did you hear they found Amelia Earhart's remains today? I'm so glad Pi likes to stay relevant. Who else cheered? Hard to find. Also, cheer 5, Pawn. If I give you more money, will you stop talking shit? Says a guy called Pi. The moment that I start talking shit, I will stop. You're not gonna give me any money, Pi. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. My brain's attached to these little things, and so that's who I am, and that's what I am. All of the evidence suggests otherwise. And if you consider yourselves people of science, people who are not going to be delusional, people who look at ancient religions that, you know, want to sell you, oh, there's a bearded man in the sky who made everything, and you laugh and you scoff. Look at what you believe right now about the nature of yourself. Want to reconsider some of your conclusions that you've drawn. because they don't really follow any scientific method. They're just convenient. They're what you believed before you started thinking about it. Cheer 10. Poop! That was from Caesar makes up all of us. Poop that was from Caesar makes up all of us. Okay. There wasn't a comma there. I don't know why I put it there. Yes, and Jesus breathed the same air that we did, and there's certain particles in the oxygen, it's argon or something that has a half-life of such and such, and so we're still breathing the same air. That is still a low-level understanding. To be looking at it from that perspective, though. That we share all of these things, and we're all together, and let's join hands in kumbaya. You are everything. And the experience you're having right now is just that, an experience you're having right now. The star is not born and it does not die, it is an event. It is a process. At the end of the process, the star becomes something else. The material and the energy that the star was becomes something new. You do not live and you do not die. You are in the midst of a process. You are an event. And when the event is over, another event takes place. I don't think I've gone off of the rails of science all today. But I do know that I've gone off the rails of this highway 1 or 2 times. Rex, theoretically then, if I send you a model made by names, you could create a metal badge from that. Oh, are we going to make things that I'll, never get around to shipping to people? Is that a thing? I'm sorry, Rex. I found them too. I found them again. I keep finding and losing them. Rex made from 3D models that other people worked on. Like the whole community contributed to making these little 3D modeled laser. Well, no, they're actually brass cast chess pieces from 3D designs that were actually, I think, contributed to by multiple members of the community. We made them and had them produced, and I got a bunch of them, and I was going to mail them out to people, and I never did, and I still don't know that I ever will. I'll get around to it one day when I have a personal assistant who I can say, hey, do that. Fawn, can you one day do a Zendnesday that isn't depressing or existential, says RMAJ. What is depressing about this? I just told you that you're God and you're depressed? What the fuck? I told you that you are everything. You are everything, and you have no beginning, and you have no end. You do not live and die. You are eternal. And the experience that you're having right now is just a small part of the true experience. There's a larger experience that's going on that is also you, that you can have. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying this experience and identifying the way that you identify as a human being. There's nothing wrong with that. Figure out what you really are, and then have fun with being a human being. Play games, I don't mean these games. I mean life. Enjoy the experience you're having because it's the experience you're having, but don't be afraid of the experience you're having because you're just an event taking place. You can't stain Buddha nature, is what we say. You can't stain the Buddha. Buddha's everything. There's no such thing as a stain. Buddha is the stain. Buddha is that which cleans the stain. Buddha is everything. You are Buddha. You are everything. Buddha's just our word for the universe. Buddha's just our word for energy and God and the single source from which everything flows. But we recognize that we are Buddha. Every one of us has Buddha nature. We are part of the larger whole, but we are also the whole. We are the whole containing the part, and the part of the whole is the smallest part of the whole. You whole? Yay, holes. Sure, if I volunteer to be your personal assistant, can we have kinky office sex? It's the secret to every pony. I need an office. No. That's good to know, and knowing that is plausible. That therefore means I could get a custom badge. Okay, so Hologram 1 is getting that. Because in my experience in the universe so far has been shitballs, RMAJ. Your perspective on the universe. And it's very much, defined. Your perspective, our subjective perspectives on the universe are very much defined by our desperation to not be what we are. Our desperation at first to be more than just this. I'm this living, dying thing, and when my brain dies, it's all over, and am I living my life right? Because I've only got so many years, and what should I be doing with this time? And that kind of stuff. And then later, when you discover that I am everything, well, now your worry is that you're going to lose that small part that's been tormenting you all your life. That small identity that, you've gotten so used to, so familiar. I don't want to lose it, If that's just the smallest part of me, how do I connect with the larger part without losing the small part? And I can tell you right now, it doesn't go away. You can't lose it. Nothing is lost in this universe. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. Have I mentioned that a few times? Juan, I'm not enjoying art. You're not enjoying it. RMAJ, you're not enjoying the experience. A lot of people aren't, RMAJ. I understand that. I wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying it. Tier 5, I just used the stream to talk to an Indian guy talking about computers. What? RMAJ, I don't know what to say, about that. This life is it's a roller coaster. It's up and down, it's all over the place. Will you shut up? American Truck Simulator. It's up and down and it's all over the place. You have highs, you have lows. Sometimes they spike and only last for a moment. Sometimes they dip down and stay there for a long time. Sometimes you ride high for a long time. It's karma. It's a back and forth. The only wisdom that I can offer is that, as I say, you are a process, and everything is a process. Everything is an event. And all events change. There's not really a beginning and an end to anything. There's a becoming something else. But all events change. Clouds move in front of the sun, and then it's a dark, dreary, horrible day, and it starts raining, and it's awful. The sun is still behind the cloud, and the cloud is a temporary thing, and it passes and it moves through. And then the sun reveals itself again. And you learn to love the sun, because that's an easy one. Can you learn to love the cloud? Can you learn to love the rain? Not have to wait for the cloud to pass in order to enjoy it. Everything is a process. The one thing that you can always rely on is that nothing will remain as it is. So if this is a dark time for you, if this is, you're not feeling satisfied with everything, don't worry. It's going to change. You can change it, but you don't have to. You can sit there and do absolutely nothing, and it's going to change around you. And if it keeps changing, and you keep looking around and saying, that's not good, that's not good, that's not right, I don't like this, you need to look at you. Because there's a lot of good out there. And if all you can see is the bad things, that's you putting the bad there. And you can learn not to do that. You can find the strength not to put it there. You can enjoy. Sometimes it's fun to have bad ramen. Anything tastes good so long as you chew it enough. I could give a lot of advice, but I don't want to force anybody down the roads that I've been, or suggest that this is the way or that's the way. I've been in bad places myself, and when you're in a really bad place, it feels like there's no way out. What could I do? And it feels like the impetus to do something or to change it is even a criticism of you, and it feels like it's even more. It's like it's oppressive that, if it's me and it's my fault and I can't get myself out of this state, then I'm the problem, and how do I change me? And it's just everything just starts crumbling in on you. And all I can say is that it will change. It'll change. And if you look for it to change, and if you look for the positive, keep your eyes open. We call it mindfulness meditation, where you're putting your attention on everything outside of you. All the apparent things that are outside of you. Putting your attention there, You're cleaning the house. You're making sure that everything is in just the right place. You go out, and you're looking at other people. You're not thinking about you in reference to them. You're caring for them, People come over to your house. You make sure they've got water. You pour it for them. Mindfulness meditation. You take care of others. You treat the external world with immense care. And eventually, the caring that you're giving to the outside becomes the inside. Because, as I say, you don't end at your fingertips. The best way to stop thinking about horrible things and stop beating yourself up and stop circling a spiral downward is to focus on what you can do for other people. Focus on them. You sit down in a conversation and they say, how's it going? Instead of saying, things are not good for me, which it's okay. It's okay to, like, share your burden with people. But 50-50 it at least. Instead of saying, I can't deal with this, I'm having a lot of problems, say, what have you been up to? What's going on in your life? I remember hearing stories about Mr. Rogers after he died, people describing who he was in his normal life, and they described him as a guy who always had time to listen to someone else's story, who was always just like poking somebody to tell him about something that they had done. He enjoyed so much listening to someone else, and there was a time in my life where I wouldn't have gotten that. I wanted to be the guy who was always talking, and fuck, look what I do now. But I get it. It's so comforting and relaxing to just sit and listen to someone else talk about what's happened with them, the experiences they've had. There's no expectations on you but to sit there and listen. Free stories, free entertainment in a sense. And it's just out there, walking around. And all you have to do is sit down and ask someone and give them the signs that it's okay to tell me your stories. I've got time. The best way to shed a depression cloak is to turn your energy on everyone around you and everything around you. Because depression is fueled by you thinking about you, worrying that it's never going to end, and it is a process that's in your head. And by just staying in your head, you just keep kicking the beehive, and it never gets any better. Turn your energy and your attention to other people. You know, look for someone across the room, meet eyes with them, and then smile, even if you don't feel like smiling. And then they'll smile back at you, and then you'll feel like smiling. I missed a lot of cheers. It got very serious here at the end. Cube75. It's me, Deadpool. I changed my name. Wrong timing, says Cube75. Okay, hi, Cube75. We're just wrapping up the live stream here. Where are the cheers that I missed? Rex Gates, Microscoft, Fake Person. Who is... Bye, Pawn. See you tomorrow. Good night, Pi. Cheer 10. Let us pray. Holy Pawn, our Lord Pawn, give us this Zendnesday and keep it real, Sister Macy. Thank you guys for the cheers, and thanks for coming out. I'm still scrolling to find. I know that there were more than that. Shit, I've been caring for the world and everyone in it for, like, ever now. When is that going to come my way, says RMAJ. The mind that says, when is it going to break my way, is the mind that is troubling. You know? I recommend Zen. I recommend absolute meditation for the condition that I'm picking up. RMAJ. I absolutely, honestly recommend Zen, and I wouldn't recommend it to everybody in chat. I recommend Zen, I recommend meditation. I recommend meditation in the guidance of someone who knows what they're doing. Someone who can explain to you the methods of mindfulness. Can show you the way out of your own head. Can show you the way out of, the depression. Because there is a way out. Everything changes. And it can be done. It takes some energy. But it won't kill you. Do it. Way too long for a Zendnesday. It should have stopped right before he started talking about the Zen, says a guy called Pi. Well, in that case, thank you all for coming out. I hope that something that I've said, all of it was scientifically accurate. Hope that something that I've said has helped you, and the fact that, that it kind of... If what I've delivered to you is an existential crisis, I'm not displeased for that. Just please take it to the right place. Because facing the existential crisis is important. Like, every single sentient being is going to have the existential crisis. Several times. So, the fact that you're there is a good thing. And if you look around and see other people who aren't there, they're gonna get there. Meet the existential crisis. And find people who have made it to the other side of it. And they will guide you. You're the one who has to do the work. You're the one who has to walk the path. No one can walk it for you. But those who have walked the path can show you the way. Find them, and they'll help you. Cheer 50, thanks, says Rex Gates. And thank you all, and thank you for the cheers, and we will be back this Wednesday with more things and whatnot, and playing of the games. And it'll be a lot lighter this Friday. Is that what I said? 2 days from now, 4 p.m. Eastern, back here, probably going to be playing, This Is the Police. We've been doing that on Fridays, you know how much I like that. But I might not. I can do anything. I have no beginning or end. I do not end my... I am the universe, immortal. Bow to me, thou mortals. One out.
She was clean and she was white. In it swam the savior, having the time of her